Well, hello, everybody.
Oh, hi, hello.
Welcome to Lorebeards 40K. And we have an interesting topic for today's show, of course, because we're going to be talking about one of the most dangerous old men in the entire Imperium of Man.
Commissar Sebastian Yarrick.
Which isn't even his real name, I should point out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what is a real name? Like, when you take somebody's name, doesn't that not become your real name? Like, when you get married and take their last name, is that not your name now?
Okay, I clearly misspoke. I meant to say that is not the name he was born with.
Yeah. Like,
So you're
kind
right.
of like,
You're correct.
Kind of like Marius Kalgar isn't actually Marius Kalgar.
Well, I mean, it's worth pointing out that Yarrick is not his birth name, but I think it's great that he has his name and he's chosen his name and that's the name he's going with. So I don't mind. I don't mind a bit. Hey guys, welcome to Lorebeards 40K.
You know, Yarrick is a character that rolls a d6 to get back up, and apparently in 10th edition, he nailed it.
Right?
Like, I'm dead. Nuh-uh.
Part of the reason we're doing this show is because there's been an announcement from Games Workshop. They have a really cool little video about Commissar Yarrick returning. So if you are not aware of it, if you haven't seen the video, go check it out. It's on YouTube right now.
It's so good. It's so good. I love it.
We should introduce ourselves. Norn Queen Alexis, who are you?
That is a good question, and it took me years to figure this out, to be honest. Like therapy and all sorts of other things. It really helped me find myself. Oh, you mean who I actually am? Hi, everyone. I'm Norn Queen Alexis. I am a all-around massive nerd. I play everything under the sun. I play RPG games. I play tabletop games. I play Blood Bowl. I play this game way too much, and I got way too invested in Warhammer 40K to the point where it became my entire personality. And I fell down that rabbit hole. I am a painter as well as a current game designer, and I am happy about that. So yeah, Ross, who are you?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. I'm a game designer and author, and I have written a whole bunch of material for Warhammer 40K roleplay. I've written several Warhammer 40K video games. I worked on the US White Dwarf team for a couple years. Worked on a whole bunch of other games as well, but every time I feel like I'm out of 40K, they pull me back in. And here we are today hosting Lorebeards, talking about one of the coolest dudes in the Imperium, which is Commissar Sebastian Yarrick. On the day he was set to retire, that's the day the orcs invaded.
Yeah.
I always love that bit.
Can you imagine? Like, dude is so badass, he retired.
like more than once, actually.
Yeah. That's the craziest thing. In 40K, your life expectancy on a battlefield is, I think, what, 27 minutes?
15 hours for Imperial
15 hours, yeah, is one of the books. And it is absolutely crazy. Oh, sorry, the 28 minutes. I misspoke there. The 28 minutes comes from Kill Lupercal, where Warlord Titans the estimate was 28 minutes. That's how long you'll survive, which is a crazy thing to say to a Warlord pilot.
No kidding.
In this case.
All right. Oh, and before we get going, we should mention we have some really cool giveaways today. I'm going to bring these up. So we have two giveaways. The giveaway on the left is for the Tempestus Scion from Joy Toy. And the giveaway on the right is for the Cadia Stands box from one of our members who was very generous. And the Cadia Stands box is really great because it has a whole lot of soldiers, Sentinel, a copy of the Codex, like the special edition with the image of War Master Leontis on it. So Lord Solar, not War Master. Apologies. Yeah, Lord Solar. They fought a whole war over that. Anyway, we're going to be giving these away, so keep an eye out. We'll be announcing when we will start those up during the show. It'll all be part of chat on YouTube, I believe, is where you'll have to. Hawk can correct me, but I think you'll have to put in the code on YouTube.
Either Hawk or Lord Vorn in the chat itself. Those two are our saving grace. They got this.
They got this, absolutely. Okie doke. So, Alexis, why don't you start out? Who is Commissar Yarrick?
Commissar Yarrick is one of the three most badass commissars in the entire setting.
Three? I mean, I assume the other two are Gaunt and Kane, right?
Yep.
Okay.
You nailed it.
Gaunt and Kane being the other two.
I don't know which one I put on top. Actually, I do. It's Caiaphas Kane. Is
Hero of the Imperium.
But as an actual playable character, Commissar Yarrick has been an absolute badass. At a very young age, he learned the entirety of the orc language. He can curse at them in their own language, which is hilarious. And that is a thing that comes up more than once. that was pretty funny to find out.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out that we have discussed Commissar Kane on this channel. You can go check out that show if you like. I'm sure at some point we will discuss Commissar Gaunt. But of the three that she has mentioned, Yarrick is the only one who has had multiple editions worth of rules. I guess technically Gaunt has, if you use White Dwarf rules.
Two.
If you use like White Dwarf as one of the bases for his rules. But it's fair to say Yarrick is the most well-established as a statted out, playable, named character of the three of them on the tabletop. So there's that. Hey, we've got a cool super chat here from Spitfire 703. Thank you, sir, for your support. Yarrick lives. Games Workshop sought to destroy him, but only made him stronger, says Spitfire.
So it is actually really funny that Games Workshop was trying to move away some of the older heroes of the Guard because the timeline went into the future. So we got things like Ursula Creed, Lord Solo Leontis, but you can't replace the old man. He only gets older. They tried to kill him and the fan base was like, you give us Godspell fighting Angron. And GW's just like, well, we don't want that. So here you go.
I should point out super chats are the finest and the most cultured way to support our podcast. It is cash that goes directly to keeping the lights on and letting us produce more great shows of content for you. So we really appreciate you guys supporting us on super chats. We've got another one from Lord Vorn. Fun fact for viewers, did you know that, as per Games Workshop's recent directives, you can paint your Cadia Stands box in Steel Legion colors?
I'm so upset about this because it immediately, the day after our Lorebeards episode, I was proven wrong. I'm so upset about that. They're definitely going to release Armageddon Steel Legion. That makes sense. And unless they do it as a as an alt paint scheme for the oh my god, I forgot their names.
Cadians?
No,
Creeds?
For the Kriegers. And then it was just like the next day they're like, you could paint up your Kriegers as Armageddon Steel Legion. And I'm just like, man, you're dumb.
We also got a member, Ricky Chapman. It says, we need a book where all three of the commissars meet. Yes.
They are aware of each other.
I would really like to see this. I would be so happy if we could have all three of them meet. Please have Sandy Mitchell write it. I think that would be the best way to go. Dan Abnett's a very busy man. I'm sure he could probably work it out and it would be amazing. But I think Sandy Mitchell would be the best one. I'm just saying.
Just use the convincing cinder block on him.
And Sarmelian Bloodweaver. Oh, great name. Would Yarrick coordinate with Farsight against orcs?
Oh, so unlike other commissars that are very much like will work with the Xenos to destroy other Xenos, Yarrick probably wouldn't. He would just be like, no, we'll destroy them, then you.
So Gaunt has worked with the Eldar before, V Chaos. And we know that Kane has worked with the Tau before, V Tyranids. I don't Off the top of my head, I cannot think of a single time that Yarrick has teamed up with anybody outside the Imperium.
I mean, if we go off his 2nd edition codex, he can ally in Eldar, but no.
Yeah, I don't. It can, according to the rules, is one thing. Has done it like in the lore is another, and I just don't think he has. I'll have to look that up, but I don't think so.
And then you have the other thing of what was it? It was Farsight, right? Would Farsight want to work with Yarrick?
I mean, Farsight seems a little more pragmatic, but I don't know. Like that's a really good question. I don't know. Here's a question. Here's a question for chat though. Is Yarrick unkillable? Yes or no? Put your thoughts out there. I'd like to see him.
You are doing the orc thing, aren't you?
Hey, I'm just setting things up for later, you know?
Yeah.
Just setting things up for later.
It does make sense with his rules. Like
so let's talk about the basics for Commissar Yarrick. He's not a space marine. He doesn't have any gene seed, he doesn't have any power armor. He's just an old man in a great coat with a borrowed orc arm. And in a setting full of demigods. Okay, Primarchs, you know, is what I'm talking about here. But in a setting with demigods in it, he is just a baseline human who looked at the most dangerous orc warlord in the current era and said, "Not today."
Yep. Keep in mind, High Marshal Helbrecht got his ass beat by Gosgil. Gosgil didn't consider him a challenge. Considered the Blood Angels as interlopers and annoying, but Yarrick, he considered an actual challenge. That's just a badass like character. Also, as far as I could tell, he has no internal bionics. So he doesn't have like the muscle augmetics or cabling through his body to keep his body moving at his old age. He is just maintained by hatred.
Honoriness. He is a very grumpy old man.
Oh, he wields a Space Marine Stormbolter in one hand.
And that's honestly like the least interesting thing about him, which is really surprising that I have to say this out loud.
Like, keep in mind, most people assume that a bolter's recoil, which, by the way, a bolter wouldn't have that much recoil. That's the whole gyrojet thing. But anyway, that a bolter would blow a human's arm off. And Yarrick's just like, Storm Bolter, no problem. And as far as we can tell, the Storm Bolter and the standard bolter both use the same exact rounds. It's just the Storm Bolter tends to have a drum-fed magazine on 2 bolters glued together versus the regular bolt gun. They both use 75 caliber rounds, which would make them way too big for the gun, but GW is not one to stress realism in their setting.
Saying. Another fun fact about Yarrick is so the man has spent his life killing orcs. And when I say spent his life, he learned to survive by hunting them as a 7-year-old. How metal is that? On a scale of 1 to 10, you tell me. I think that's metal as hell.
That's like an 11 out of 10.
Right?
Dude was setting booby traps for orcs and learning their language at 7 years old to kill them better.
Well, he didn't learn language till he went to the Scala Progenium.
So
that's after being 7. But yeah, he was at age 7 he was orphaned. His grandfather, who was an Astra Militarum veteran, taught him how to fight, trap, survive, and that world was occupied by orcs. So he ended up killing Gretchen for food. I mean, it's very likely that Commissar Yarrick knows what orcs taste like.
Yeah, he probably ate squig as well.
Just saying.
Which is a ridiculous idea.
He is quite possibly the Imperium's foremost expert on orc psychology, culture, and strategy, which is pretty neat.
Whoops. Sorry, I meant to do this one. It's 0.75. 0.75 caliber. Sorry. I just wanted to correct that because I did say 75. It's 0.75. That's a huge difference. That's like 75 numbers between those numbers.
All right. I think it's important to point out here some things. We all love 40K here, and there's no wrong way to love 40K. But I will say there are people that will like count the rivets on the wheels of a Lehman Russ tank and talk about how that's not accurate. There's a level of detail where it becomes egregious. So please don't be those guys. All right? Please don't be those guys.
I would definitely not build a YouTube career on pointing out all of the weird things in 40K that are incorrect. What? Or how a modern day sniper rifle would actually blow through Space Marine armor because of how weak it is.
Eric Gass, the Pillager, has a super chat. Thank you very much for your support, sir. Fun fact about bolt rounds. By NATO definition, they are small arms, meaning that the caliber is just over 19 millimeters and small arms are less than 20 millimeters. That's interesting. And that's very interesting. I'm curious about that. Nevertheless, that also is drifting towards the too much detail side of things. So please don't be those guys.
No, be them, but ask the questions to me, because otherwise it bugs Ross.
I mean, I got to tell you, that's not what I'm here to talk about, is the number of rivets on the wheels of a Lehman Russ tank.
I'm here to tell you that a Razorback that fires a twin-linked las cannon that by GW's own lore recharges itself, why that weapon is not on every single vehicle is beyond me. Or why Space Marines don't walk around with multi-lasers, but that's a whole nother question.
I mean, multi-lasers that's a question for CSGO about why Space Marines don't carry them. All right, so let's jump to the big main events for our boy, which is the Second War of Armageddon.
So this is the one where he was retiring.
Well, actually, we can swing back a little bit. The planet he was born on is Teos 3. And his birth name was Sebastian Varden.
Which is a much less cool name.
The Orcs invaded Taos 3. Yarrick survived alone. That's where he put his grandfather's teachings to good use. But an Imperial flotilla arrived months later, and a patrol squad found him at 10 years old, still surviving. And that's when he left the planet, he took his grandfather's surname, Yarrick, as his own. And then the flotilla, they brought him to the Scala Progenium, and there he learned the Orc language from a human prisoner, which began a lifelong study of Orc psychology and culture that would make him, as I said, possibly the Imperium's foremost expert on the subject.
Now, what's really funny about this is at any point, if an Inquisitor who was like absolutely Puritan caught wind of what Yarrick is doing or was doing, they might actually see his actions as a little heretical, which is pretty amusing at that young age.
Well, I'm sure. So as an officer of the Officio Prefectus, I would imagine Yarrick has a very good handle on what is considered okay and what is not considered okay.
And as somebody who spent his entire earlier life surrounded by orcs, he knows when to be quiet, like around the Inquisition.
I mean, it probably doesn't hurt, right? And especially later in life, like the fact that he's still active and still fighting orcs. I think now, as opposed to then, would be the time the Inquisition would be more interested.
Yeah, thinking they could take him.
I'm just saying.
But I do find the whole idea of him just bossing everyone around just super amusing. Because even in the Scala Progenium, he was just a little asshole.
Well, so the second War of Armageddon. Why don't you talk about that, Alexis? I know that's.
So, have you ever been one day away from retirement and you look upon your world and you're just like, damn, I wish something would make this very exciting. And then a bunch of orcs showed up. So Yarrick was literally one day away from... prior to this, he did have a bunch of campaigns against orcs. That should be mentioned. He did fight the orcs prior to this. And then he had a very decorative life. He was over 100 at this point. And, well, age is weird in 40K because of time travel and time distill... What is that called when you fly around a planet? You mess up time. But anyway, time dilation. Thank you.
Right. Time dilation. Yes, that's
so.
Way to put it.
He's either way older or way younger, but just an old man at this point. He was the commissar of the PDF at the time. Then he was the commissar of the regiments, and he was assigned to the Steel Legion.
Yeah,
When
he
the Orcs
fought.
invaded, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, by the time the Second War of Armageddon kicked off, he'd fought in over a dozen war zones, including Necromunda, Luther McIntyre, and Armageddon.
Yep.
So
Armageddon is also known as the War World to the Orcs. So anytime you hear War World, it is Armageddon. Armageddon is actually,
as opposed to Attack Moon.
Yes. Armageddon is absolutely important and extremely vital to the Imperium at large. It is the largest manufactorum of chimeras in the entire region of space. So it is super important to keep that. And its output is so much higher than most Forge worlds. And this is probably why Gosgo wanted the world in the first place, is because he wanted to take that manufacturing and use it for his own gains. He didn't know about Yarrick at the time. Then when he attacked the planet, Yarrick did a counterattack, and they made their last stand at Hades Hive. Yarrick believing this was going to be where he died.
Well, so the question we have to ask here is, why was he at Hades Hive?
So he was at Hades Hive because he undermined his superior, and his superior told him to fuck off. Because Yarrick was warning him about all of the ways that orcs do warfare and how it's going to happen and everything. And his commanding officer was like, you ain't no shit. No, you're big dumb. Your hat's too big. Go away. Well, and Yarrick's just like,
it's more than that, though. It's more than that. So Yarrick was able to figure out pretty early on that Ghazghkull was not a typical orc warlord. And he personally went to the Astropass of Armageddon and said, send a distress call. We're going to need help. Mm-hmm. This angered the planetary governor, Hermann von Straub. And he was described, by the way, by Princeps Prime Curtis Mannheim as the greatest waste of flesh and bone born in the last 500 years. That's Hermann von Straub. Yep. And von Straub, so angry, he was so pissed off about Yarrick calling for help, because of course we can handle this ourselves. Straub banished Yarrick to Hades Hive as punishment. Now, Straub, being the planetary governor, commanded the defenses. The Second Armageddon War started off very poorly because the orcs overran most of the planet.
Yep. Except for one spot.
Until they reached Hades Hive.
And while at Hades Hive, they met the Old Man of Armageddon, who could kill an orc with just a look. But that legend wasn't true just yet. At this battle, I think it's Ugrsil was the name of the war boss.
Uglehard.
Uglehard was sent by Gosgo as one of his best war bosses to go and kill the commander there. Well, he was sent to go and destroy Hades Hive. And while there, Yarrick called him out and challenged him. At the time, Yarrick didn't have his force field generator. This is important. He also only had a las or bolt pistol, depending on the lore at the time. But he tends to carry around 2 ranged weapons at any one time. Usually it's a storm bolter and a las pistol. At this point, it was a bolt pistol and las pistol. He had his chainsword also, which is very weird because usually he has a power saber. But he had a chainsword at this time. I will go over all of his war gear. I went through and found every tidbit of war gear he has. But he challenged the war boss, and the war boss accepted, and all the boys backed off for a second to watch this epic fight. Because orcs are one of the few armies that kind of respect a 1v1, especially when it's the war boss telling them that he wants to 1v1 something. And while the fight was happening, Uglehard got a good shot on his arm and just chopped it right off. Just boom, got him. And Old Man Yarrick is just like, cool, that just slowed me down. And stabbed him in the head, cutting it off and then slicing it here, killing the orc eventually, because orcs don't die right away from getting their heads chopped off. It took him a while, but he died. And then before the orcs could mount a counterattack because their war boss just died, he cut off the arm of that orc itself, which was the power claw, and he held it above his head, and he said, "Which parts of you are you willing to give me?" And the orcs fled in terror. He scared the Wa. And this was such an upset to Gazgul that Gazgul went mano-y-mano with him. It was great, and I loved it.
Well, so Hades Hive, the defense of Hades Hive is a big deal. It's covered in, I think, several books. Yarrick assumed command of the defending forces there. He immediately distinguished himself as an extraordinary leader. And he inspired the defenders to such a great extent, legendary feats of resolve. According to the stories, not a single soldier was executed for cowardice in Hades Hive during the entire siege, which is almost unheard of in Imperial Guard units for someone to not be executed for cowardice. The pivotal moment that Alexis was just describing, the duel between him and Ugelhard, Yarrick got his arm cut off and then killed the guy and then took his arm and held it up and inspired everybody and routed the orcs at the same time. The text of the legend states that only after the orcs were broken did Yarrick allow himself the luxury of passing out from blood loss.
And then Yarrick, being the absolute goat and knowing orc psychology, got himself a bionic eye, which, again, depending on the lore itself, he lost his eye also in that fight, but some say that he didn't. So he got a bionic eye regardless.
Right, but that's after the siege. He doesn't have the eye until after the siege.
Yeah, but he does get the power claw, right?
Well, okay, so after he defeats Ugelhard and picks up the power claw, the news of this defeat spread throughout the orcs, and the greenskins started to flee wherever Yarrick was. And that's at the time when he put the power claw on his body. Gazgul, hearing about this, redirected the bulk of the Wag, like the majority of the forces, and sent them to Hades Hive. And Gazgul personally took command, focused on crushing the one worthy opponent on Armageddon, because again, the orcs had overrun most of the planet. Hades Hive was the only place that was holding out. So for Gazgul, whoever this guy was that killed Ugelhard must be the only worthy opponent. So that's why he's like, okay, I'm going to go take this guy down. And here's the thing: the siege of Hades Hive. How long did the siege of Hades Hive last, Alexis?
Oh my God, I don't remember. Wasn't it like it's 7 something?
It's 6 months.
Yeah, sorry.
6 months of relentless orc attacks, and the defenders held out. They bought critical time for the Imperial Guard and the Space Marines to muster and the reinforcements to arrive. Eventually, Commander Dante and the Blood Angels, they outflanked and destroyed Gazgul's hordes, which forced him to retreat. But Gazgul didn't credit Dante. He credited Yarrick with the win. Yep. We got a couple of super chats.
He did refer to the Blood Angels as a nuisance. They annoyed him because they interrupted his war. He didn't want to fight no beakies. He wanted to fight Yarrick. But yes, we do have super chats, so let's get them.
Gary Garrionson says you should really read the Peter Fehérváry novels. I'm working my way through the books. I just read Steel Tread by Andy Clark, and there's a follow-up to that called Demolisher, which I'll be reading that next.
I still got to read Demolisher as well.
Peter Fehérváry, we'll keep an eye out. But there's so many novels, Gary Garrionson. I'm sorry. There's just tell them to stop making more novels, and I can catch up faster.
Do you remember back in the day when we were lucky to get like one novel every 3 months?
I was literally there the first time that the God's Ghost books was published.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a wild time. And then we've got one from Sarmelian Bloodweaver again. Thank you again, sir. We need a Sister of Battle Space Marine chapter that has still living orc heads mounted on a lot of their gear, kept alive but unable to fight. That'd scare them a lot.
That would actually.
It's pretty macabre.
One of the things that I do want to mention really quickly is how powerful the orcs are. A single orc can get its head chopped off, only to have it reattached to another, a completely separate orc, mind you, body, and come back and function and fight. Gosgul is actually famous for getting his head cut off twice and living both times. One was to just prove the Space Wolf prophecy wrong and laugh at them, which was hilarious. The other was that, yeah, he did get his head cut off. But there are operations that Mad Docs do, Mad Docs being their doctors, surgeons, crazy people that you throw teeth at and they give you bionics sometimes, or they give you a pogo leg, or the dreaded squig brain transplant where they put a squig brain in your head, or a bomb, which Mad Doc Rotskin got in trouble for doing. He did that too many times, and too many guys got a case of head splody, which is actual orc lore, and I love it. But a single orc takes a lot to kill. They are stronger than all humans. Like, just, they are physically stronger than humans. They are almost on par in strength to Space Marines. In power armor, mind you. A single orc, they are incredibly tough, incredibly resilient. They're immune to most normal diseases. They can quickly adapt to most planetary conditions, regardless of atmospheric conditions. They can inherently sense unorky behavior. So if somebody gets a gene stealer infestation, one gets mind controlled, or somebody's just acting a bit weird and they can't tell why, they will abandon these orcs or kill them. More than likely kill them. So it's very hard to spy on the orcs, which is hilarious because they can detect Calidus assassins.
And gene stealer cults.
Yeah, but Calidus assassins literally copy their exact biometrics. Like, everything that is them, a Calidus can copy, and the orcs will be like, that's not an orc. And it's like, but how?
Well, to be clear, it depends on a lot of factors, because
It depends on the side of the wall.
If the orcs are engaged in active combat, which they are most of the time, Calidus assassins can pull off the deception for a while. Yes. If the orcs are not engaged in a lot of combat, that's where the problem comes, because the Calidus just doesn't act orky enough. Typically.
So when like Yarrick cut off the head of Ugelhard, that head was alive for quite some time before it finally bled out and died.
Well, what's interesting about the second War of Armageddon is Gazgul and Yarrick essentially built each other's legend during that period, because Gazgul was an up-and-coming rising star war boss. He had accomplished quite a bit, and the Battle for Armageddon, he again took the majority of the planet before being forced off world. And he as Gazgul wanted to maintain his status, he talked about how Yarrick was the only one who stopped him, and how Yarrick, anywhere that Yarrick looked, orcs died. That became the superstition. And so Yarrick, after the siege was over, he's like, I'm going to lean into this superstition because I know orc culture. And he'd had an eye lost at some point during the battles on Armageddon, so he replaced it with a bionic pulse laser implants called the Baali, and it could fire a laser beam powerful enough to core out an opponent's skull at 10 paces. Now, this is also,
it's a las pistol, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically a las pistol in a skull. But it plays into the orc superstition. This is him saying, okay, yeah, where I look, orcs do die because I have a laser beam. He also put the Ugelhard's own power claw on his body to replace his lost arm. And it's blessed by both the Adeptus Ministorum, that is the Ecclesiarchy, and the Adeptus Mechanicus, that is the tech priests. So it is a rare case of one of the Imperium's finest picking up a Xenos weapon and then wielding it for the rest of their life. It's powerful enough to kill just about anything in a single swipe. It's a very strong power claw.
In fact, it is it is so much a part of Yarrick at this point that when Gosgol, like, this is a little bit into the future, but when Gosgol put back all of Yarrick's war gear, he made sure to return the power claw to him.
So
It's huge.
Yarrick's activities in the Second War of Armageddon and the Power Claw and the Baelai, this turned him into a figure of mythological status amongst the orcs, and gave him quite a bit of a legend in the Imperium as well. And after the war was over, their War for Armageddon was over, Gazgul left. He was off to the next fight, and Yarrick was like, you know what? I'm not going to retire. I am going to pursue Gazgul. So he took off, chasing him into the stars for the next 10 years.
It's important to mention at this point he went with High Master Helbrecht of the Black Templar, who were pursuing Gazgul.
That's after the Third War for Armageddon. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. We're after the Second War. There's multiple Wars of Armageddon. It looks like there's going to be a fourth one. So
yes,
but this just after the Second War, he went by himself for 10 years to chase Gazgul.
High Marshal. Sorry.
And he finally cornered Gazgul on a world called Golgotha. Do you want to talk about Golgotha, Alexis?
All I know is that he got his ride jacked.
So Golgotha was a trap. This was a trap. It was Gazgul engaged from the front, a second Wog hit from behind, a Space Hulk emerged, drove off the Imperial Navy. Yarrick was captured, and his ride, we will talk about his ride in a minute. His ride was damaged and left behind, essentially.
The Fortress of Arrogance.
The Fortress of Arrogance. Do we want to take a side trip and talk about the fortress?
So the Fortress of Arrogance is a Baneblade that Yarrick first he got it's not a commission. He asked for it to join his war, and it was granted to him and then became his personal Baneblade. Back in the day, this thing had a transport capacity of 1 Commissar Yarrick. Strictly him. The Fortress of Arrogance is a absolute artisan worked Baneblade. It has 11 cannons, 2 side-mounted twin heavy bolters, 2 top-mounted turret las cannons, a hull-mounted twin heavy bolter, a hull-mounted demolisher cannon, a Baneblade cannon with a coaxial auto cannon that fires tracer rounds so that the Baneblade cannon can hit more accurately, a turret-mounted heavy stubber, as well as a turret-mounted pupilla that had a side-mounted storm bolter.
Yeah, it's a pulpit, basically. It's
pulpit, sorry.
Yeah, it's the fortress is not just a tank. It's a mobile command center.
Thank you.
It's a mobile command center and a motivational platform. It has a crew of 10. And it does have the cupola, or the pulpit, is where Yarrick stands. It actually has a special force field.
Which is really funny that he has a force field.
He has a force field for his force field, yes. It's the tank is finished in black and gold plating, and it is considered almost as blessed by the Emperor as Yarrick himself. Imperial soldiers within the sight of it fight with immeasurably greater resolve.
Funny enough, that's not his only ride. He has a second ride as well, but it's not as fun.
Well, it's not as pimp wagon as the Fortress of Arrogance. There it is. Look at that thing. Look at that glorious thing. It's actually missing the gold skull on that one.
Yeah, sorry. I had to find somebody's model for it, because technically this thing has never had a model. It has had a one built by the Games Workshop team that they used for the rules purposes, but they never released a Fortress of Arrogance model. They released a Baneblade model.
Huh.
So this is somebody's take on it.
Oh, interesting. I thought for sure it was like an upgrade kit for that you could get.
As far as I could tell, no. But
it's still a lot of guns.
Yes.
Still a lot of guns, and
11 main barrels, and then 2 to 4 up top, depending.
It was crippled by an orc gargant a Stampa, and it had to be abandoned when the Imperial forces were routed from Golgotha. So that's what it was left behind. But we will hear more about this. That is not the end of the story for the Fortress of Arrogance. We've got a cool super chat from Skara, Prince of the Parade. Could he beat the Great Grey Seer Thankwall? Depends on whose rules are in play. If it's in the 40k setting, yes, he will beat Thankwall. If it's in the fantasy setting, no, he will not beat Thankwall.
I mean, hell, their technology wouldn't even work in the fantasy setting.
However, I would argue that Thankwall would not be able to kill him.
I mean, they'd both be getting right back up. I didn't hear no bell.
I didn't hear no bell, baby. All right, so that's a little bit about the Fortress of Arrogance.
Now, I do want to mention one thing about the Fortress of Arrogance really quickly. It only appears in one artwork. And it's really amusing because it's just in the background of this artwork. And that's the only official artwork that I found the Fortress of Arrogance in.
Huh.
That's it. And it's right there.
So I should point out a couple things before we go too far in Golgotha. The big thing about Ghazghkull going to Hades Hive, he's thinking like, this man is too interesting. I must fight him personally. Isn't that the greatest compliment an orc can give?
Yes.
Now,
yes, it is.
The other thing about the power claw that's really important to mention here, orc tech doesn't normally work reliably outside of orc hands. So is it sustained with WOG energy? We don't know, but Yarrick makes it work perfectly. This is very strange, but it works perfectly. And that's all I can say.
He's very good at parrying with it too.
Yes, he is. So
like, that's the one thing is in the episode from Warhammer TV, Old Belai, he's actually like an expert at using it. So it's really cool to see him fight. I think he fought a runt herder and he tore his leg off with it. Like, so he knows how to attack with it and sweep low with it to kill orcs, because orcs never expect attack against their legs.
It's never malfunctioned that we know of. So
yeah,
that's interesting. I just thought I wanted to point that out.
Mm-hmm.
So Golgotha, he gets to Golgotha. The trap gets sprung. The Arrogance is crushed and left behind. The Space Hulk drives off the Imperial Navy, and Yarrick is captured by Ghazghkull. Now, obviously, this is bad. And on board the Space Hulk, he gets stripped of all his bionics. He's chained up above a waste pit. Ghazghkull just drops him into the waste pit.
Yeah, because he assumed at that point that Yarrick wasn't actually that special, and maybe the legends about him were more exaggerated than anything else. Right. So he took away. And when we say bionics, Yarrick only has two. He has the bionic eye and the power claw. So he doesn't have any extra bionics. He does now have a backpack that helps power the power claw, but in his original model, he had something on his back that also powered the power claw. So he might have had like a small Prometheum engine or something on the back of him.
Battery, engine, yeah. We're not sure. So he gets dropped into this refuse pit. Basically, it's like throwing him in the Sarlacc, from Return of the Jedi. And Yarrick is like, fine. You want to throw me in the garbage? Fine. I will hunt and kill squigs for my breakfast, which he does. He says, I will fashion improvised steps from their quills, which he does. And I will climb my way out of the waste chute like Batman climbing up out of the damn prison in Dark Knight Rises. And when he gets to the top, what do you think's there at the top? Ghazghkull waiting for him, as if he had expected it all along. So he takes Yarrick and he throws him in with the slaves, with the other prisoners aboard the Space Hulk. And of course, Yarrick is like, okay, I'm Spartacus. I'll do this. So Yarrick leads a slave revolt. And they break out and they reach the bridge of the Space Hulk only to find Ghazghkull is gone. And Yarrick activates all the Hulk systems at once, trying to tear it apart. He survives the resulting explosion, only to find himself on a shuttlecraft with all of his bionics returned to him. Gazgul had personally had personally brought him there, and then stepped aside and said, "Good enemies is odd to find." So the Orc Warlord, the most terrifying Orc Warlord, released his greatest foe because he valued the challenge that Yarrick provided, and gave him back all his stuff.
Also worth noting, he left on an Arvis lighter that Gazgul kept in great condition, kept all of his boys away from, and it was in pristine condition. So with a flight crew, mind you, so that he could get back to the planet. I just find that really amusing.
Is Gazgul releasing Yarrick the most romantic thing in Warhammer 40K?
I don't know. I still think the most romantic thing ever is Celestine and Greyfax touching heads with each other and reading each other's minds and finding out that Greyfax is actually self-conscious and thinks that she still has mind shackle scarabs, and Celestine telling her it'll be all right.
Second most romantic.
Second most.
Second most romantic. It's important to point out that the language that Gazgul spoke was Gothic, not Orcish, when he said these words. So
Gazgul is actually fluent in Gothic, which is kind of crazy. Well, fluent for an orc in Gothic.
Do you want to talk about the attempt to recover the Fortress of Arrogance?
Oh, where he threw companies after companies of men to get the tank back?
Why don't you start with that?
Well, that's pretty much it. He just threw companies at it to try to get it back, and then eventually he did.
Well,
he had to repair the hell out of it.
It was called Operation Thunderstorm. The Adeptus Mechanicus assisted him, and 30,000 guardsmen, 2 tank battalions, and the elite Kaserkin stormtroopers were sent down to the planet to get it. The losses were catastrophic. Only a handful of tanks and a few hundred men survived because it turns out that the Mechanicus's actual goal was recovering an STC teleporter that was on Golgotha. The tank retrieval was just the cover story.
Yep.
This is from the novel Gunheads, I think by Steve Lyons. So go check that out. But they did get it, and the soldiers that fought, they fought very hard because they knew the Fortress of Arrogance was a very strong symbol of victory.
Mm-hmm.
Got a couple super chats here. Hey, Argas Pillager says, if they were in Warhammer Fantasy Battle, Thanquol wouldn't beat Yarrick. Okay. Thanquol would beat himself in that scenario, probably by sabotaging his underlings. That is classic Thanquol.
I have no idea who this is.
So Gracier Thanquol is one of the most well-known named Skaven characters, who is not a legendary lord from Total War Warhammer, unfortunately. But Thanquol, he fought Gotrek and Felix quite a few times.
Okay.
And yeah, he is a self-sabotaging fellow. I find this to be very likely. Very likely. Yeah. And we got one from Super Amaton. I imagine being the pilot on that Arvis slider.
Yo, right? Do you think that Gazgul treated them better because he couldn't have his boys like beat the hell out of them?
You have to assume that they were like, well, this is better being in the slave pens. Oh my God. Yeah. I know how to pilot an Arvis slider. Me, pick me. I'm over here. Put me on board.
Boy, no boys hurt these guys. I need them.
And then we got Ricky Chapman in the book Prophet of the Wog. It reveals that the prophet doesn't tolerate bad-mouthing Yarrick, and Gaz also suffers from depression.
Yes, he does. Gazgul actually gets like super depressed when he doesn't have a good enemy to fight. It's great.
So we are coming up on the second hour of the show. It's probably a good time to start that giveaway. So Hawk, if you do me the honors and keep track of what you need to say, the thing you need to type in to the YouTube chat, on YouTube chat only, for this, is exclamation point Skyon. And I will see if I can do once and only once. Once and only once. Type in Skyon.
Or Scion, however you want to pronounce it.
I'll make a Alexis. I will make a banner for this if you will talk about the third war for Armageddon.
Okay, so the third War of Armageddon is when he's retiring, right? That's the one where he's like, yeah,
yeah, he's already retired at this point. It's 50
Yeah.
years, 50 years to the day after the second war ended.
Which would make him over 150, mind you. Just so everyone knows. Yarrick is about at 150 at this point. The average human life in the Imperial Guard is not that long. Retiring is considered a myth. So. Yarrick is sitting at his desk and he's like, orcs haven't attacked here in a while. They're going to attack. My orc sense is tingling. It's like a spidey sense, but far, far, far worse. And when he notices that there are some shadows in the sky and Kovu is scratching at a door like a jerk. Kovu, stop.
Right. This is for everyone. This is for the giveaway of the Tempestus Skyon or Scion Joy Toy figure. If you want the Tempestus Scion Joy Toy figure, that's what this is for.
Yep. So Yarrick begins putting on all of his gear and everything because he has a feeling the orcs are going to be back. His spidey sense is tingling. He gets his power claws, bionic eye, and everything, and he's just like, you know what? We got a fight ahead of us. And out of nowhere, millions of orcs teleport onto the battlefield.
Question for you. How early was he?
So from what I understand, he's 2 weeks early.
Correct. He got there 2 weeks before the orcs did. That's pretty good spidey sense, if you ask me.
Yeah. He was told by the Emperor or the orcs to be there.
I'm thinking the orcs probably, we're going to talk about this a lot, but one of my favorite theories is that the Great Green, the Wog, wants a rematch.
Yeah.
It wants Ghazghkull. And so the Great Green ensured that Yarrick would be there on Armageddon when Ghazghkull showed up.
Yep. So all of these millions of orcs teleport down onto the battlefield and rocks are raining from the sky. Yarrick is just like, hell no. He orders the Imperial Navy to destroy as many of the rocks as they can. But enough of them land that Ghazghkull has his factories and his fortresses down on the ground already. Now, granted, if Yarrick wasn't there, they would have been overrun that day because Ghazghkull would have had all of his fortresses ready to go. But instead, he had to deal with Yarrick, and Yarrick destroyed at least half of them before they hit the ground. And when they finally started setting up, he ordered the fighters or the aircraft to just start doing bombing runs as much as they could, just drop everything they had on the orcs, try to get it so that they're pushed back at least a little bit so that Yarrick can get his tank companies together, so Yarrick can get his Armageddon Steel Legion together, all the remnants that were there, the Planetary Defense Force, everybody ready to fight. And I can't emphasize this enough. If not for Yarrick, that planet would have been gone in a day. So Yarrick starts his fight against Ghazghkull. Ghazghkull now has teleport technology. Yes, it is spelled just like that. Ghazghkull met up with another war boss, whose name I cannot remember at this current moment, who had teleported technology.
Is that Orchimedes?
Maybe. But I forget it at this current moment. But he meets up with another war boss and takes over their WA because his WA got beaten up pretty bad. And then he flies back to Armageddon, the war world. He makes a call for all of his orcs to come back through the powers of the WA and through, conventional means. But all orcs inherently know when Ghazghkull is going to the war world. They can feel it through the power of the WA. While he's there, Ghazghkull is getting all of his reinforcements. Imperials are coming and they're trying their best to get to Ghazghkull. and Yarrick is leading the ground assaults. He is leading them. He is not falling behind and giving orders or anything. He's on the front lines leading them into battle. He eventually fights his way into a orc fortress where he takes on as many as he can. I think at this point he does. The Black Templar are there. The Blood Angels show up. I think the Salamanders show up.
Space Wolves.
The Space Wolves show up. I don't think any Sisters of Battle ever show up in any of the books, which is kind of weird. I think the Admech is there, but not. They weren't a full faction at this point, so it was they were there. And he led this push into Gazgul's main fortress and fought the beast. There's actually some really cool art of those two throwing hands. Although I think this artwork that I'm about to show you, if I can find it, is from an earlier fight. I think this is from Hades' Hive. But this is the fight. I believe this is the fight from Hades' Hive. But I just think it's a really cool artwork because it just shows you how big Gazgul is. And keep in mind, this is small Gazgul. He's gotten bigger. And Yarrick has gotten older. So that makes him more powerful.
So I did look it up. There are no Sisters of Battle listed on the Imperial side, but the Third War for Armageddon does feature a lot of really cool named people. Lord General Kurov is one of them. Lord General Kurov is he was an older model you could get for the Imperial Guard, and I believe he was for the Adelan Rough Riders. Is that right? I'll also look that up a little bit more. Then there's Colonel Schaefer, who's the commander of the 13th Penal Legion, also known as the Last Chancers.
Oh, so yeah.
He was there. One of the most well-known well, not anymore, I guess, but in the older days, one of the most well-known Blood Angels characters was Captain Erasmus Tycho.
I used to have his little metal model.
Yeah,
he's dead.
Yeah, he is, but he got his cool Phantom of the Opera mask on Armageddon during the Third War for Armageddon. He did eventually fall to the Black Rage and joined the Death Company, and then was killed. So there's that. But yeah, there was a lot of named dudes involved with this Third War for Armageddon.
And of course, Helbrecht was there.
Well, of course he was. Also the Grey Knights, which were led by a guy that I don't recognize, but his name was Grandmaster Rothweir Morvans. Really cool name, I should point out. But there's a pretty big issue. So originally, Morvans worked with Logan Grimnar. He worked with Helbrecht, but at the end of the battle, at the end of the war, Angron shows up, which is kind of a just out of nowhere. Angron shows up, and so the Grey Knights kind of have to deal with that, and it ends up causing this is not an episode about the Third War for Armageddon, so I'm not going to we're only glossing over it, to be clear. But Rothweir and Logan Grimnar got into it over how the Grey Knights were handling civilians in the aftermath. And that's all we really need to talk about.
I mean, that's what they were doing to civilians. Yeah, and Logan Grimnar doesn't like that too much.
Sorry, so Kurov, Lord General Kurov, he's the commander of the Armageddon Steel Legion. Also considered one of the greatest officers in Imperial history. So nice. There's that. Anyway, that was my brief discussion of the War for Armageddon, for the Third War of Armageddon. But what you really need to know is the world did not fall, despite Gazgul, despite millions of orcs, despite Angron himself. It did not fall.
And weirdly enough, during this, Angron was banished
again.
I think this was his first time being banished.
Well, definitely not his first, because he was banished during the Siege Terra. So,
well, yeah, but I mean his first time in 40K being banished.
In lore, probably. I don't know if that again. Maybe that's the best answer I could give. We should shut down the giveaway and announce a winner. So Hawk, I'm going to stop the banner, and when I stop the banner, no more things will be brought in. So this is your last chance to type in Skyon, and that is now over. So Hawk, if you would do me a favor and select a winner. But I should point out mods are not eligible for this giveaway. The last time we did a giveaway, Hawk won, and I was like, okay, we can't do that again.
Yeah, wasn't Angron in the first War of Armageddon, not the third?
Rush 21129, you won the.
Yep, sorry.
Rush 21129, you won the giveaway. Congratulations.
Hell yeah. Congrats, dude. But Ricky Chapman points out that Angron was in the first War of Armageddon, not the third. I thought he was in the third.
Pretty sure he was in the third, y'all.
Huh. Let me double check that really quickly.
Yeah, I'm also doing a double check on that, but I'm very confident. Anyway, Rush, congrats! You get the Joy Toy.
Hell yeah!
Angron was the centerpiece of the first War of Armageddon. That's where we got confused. Okay, it's the first War for Armageddon, and now it seems like he may be coming back for the fourth. So he may be returning for the fourth one. Apologies. That was my bad. I was talking about the third War for Armageddon, and I was talking about the Grey Knights, and that my mind flipped over to the wrong war. Anyway, apologies. The third War for Armageddon did involve Grey Knights. It did involve Luger, Grimnar, and the Space Wolves, but the Space Wolves and Grey Knights thing, that was the first war, not the third war. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yep. This is why we love our lore seeker community, because if we ever mess up, they're right here to be like, nah. I'm not saying that as an insult. It actually helps us out.
It's good. I mean, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but sometimes I slip up and say the wrong thing. I'm only human, yo. I am not a transhuman warrior of the Astartes, regardless of how much I look like one. So there you go.
You do look like you're right at home in the Space Wolves.
So yeah, the third War for Armageddon. We have Hive Acheron is a fun part of this. Hive Acheron, 5 days after the initial landings, Hive Acheron fell to the orcs, and it wasn't sieged. The former planetary governor Hermann von Straub, remember him? He shows up here. He was convicted of gross incompetence during the Second War and was sentenced to house arrest. Don't ever put powerful, influential people under house arrest. Yeah, it just doesn't work. He escaped. He sabotaged the Hive's power grid, and then he actually opened the doors of the secret tunnels that let orcs in. While this is all happening, Straub declares himself the divine ruler of Armageddon. The old nobility of Armageddon are like, welcome, you have returned, our great glorious leader. Yeah, no, the 13th Penal Legion under Schaefer, they hunted Straub down and killed him. So that's the end of Straub. But he did hand over an entire hive to the orcs. There was go ahead.
He also had an apocalypse formation where it was him and a bunch of orcs. But he was represented as a commissar and a bunch of orcs. Also, there is a bit of a lore discrepancy between the 10th edition Crusade book and the Third War of Armageddon, where, because we have two people pointing this out, where Angron nearly got summoned at the end of the Third War, and Angron did get summoned at the end of the Third War. I think that the current lore is that he did get summoned, but then banished quickly.
Yeah, it's 10th edition.
He left.
According to the 10th edition, which is the most recent before the new edition. So I'm technically right. Woo! Look at that.
But I know that a lot of the lore prior to that, when it talked about the Third War of Armageddon, did not summon him. But 10th edition lore does supersede that, so now it is that he did. Also, keep in mind, Angron is a demon and is immune to the effects of time. So he could be there in the Second War too sometimes.
So getting back to the Third War for Armageddon and Yarrick, who we're actually here to talk about today. Yarrick is leading the assaults on the orc bastions, because with the rocks, which are these asteroids, when they land
With
on the
jet
planet,
engines.
when they crash onto a planet, they become a little fortress. So Yarrick, he's leading Cadian stormtroopers, supported by Titans of the Legio Metallica and the Legio Ignatum, and they destroy several of these fortresses, but many other Imperial regiments are lost. Because, in a masterstroke of misdirection, the Orc forces had also made landings in areas that were considered uninhabitable, places like the Fire Wastes and the Deadlands. And nobody thought that orcs would land out there because nobody could live out there. But orcs can live out there, as Alexis pointed out early in the show. And so the orcs, they built submarines. What they did is they built a submarine flotilla. And Orchimedes, which is this orc genius that was attached to Gazgul's command structure, he designed all these submarines that they built, and they used them to go underneath the polluted seas of Armageddon and land assault forces at Hive Tempestora and Hive Hell's Reach. Hive Hell's Reach has its own story with the
Black Templar.
The Black Templars, Grimaldus, I believe.
Yep.
Leads the defense of Hell's Reach. It's a hell of a book, great book. I know Gary Garrison is a Peter Fahavari fanatic, but I will say this: if you want the best Armageddon book, it's Hell's Reach by Aaron Dembski Bowden. So Tempestora Fells.
There's also something funny to point out in this book. There is counter-attacking orc submarines. I do want to point that out, and it is hilarious.
Tempestora fell within days. There's not much else to say about Tempestora. That's all I wanted to say. There was a lot of Titans and Gargants doing battle out there in the wastes. So it was one of the major engagements of Titan-sized enemies going at each other, which was pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
The Savlar Chem Dogs were involved in that, which is always fun to see the Savlar Chem Dogs.
I love them so much. I love just a legion of drug addicts.
Yeah. So anyway, that is largely what happens during the third war, I should say, of Armageddon. Grimaldus, we got Ricky Chapman. Grimaldus. Now, yep.
One of the coolest things about this war was a very particular meeting that I absolutely loved. And it was between a lot of the Space Marine commanders who viewed themselves as the commanders of the battlefield and Commissar Yarrick. And Commissar Yarrick was telling the Space Marines what to do, like he tells normal soldiers. And the balls on Commissar Yarrick, because he stared down Space Marines, and Space Marines take steps back from him, which is crazy to think about. But the Black Templar respect him. Like
Grimaldus described Yarrick this way. He said, of all the men who fought on Armageddon, he was not a hero. He was the hero.
Mm-hmm. And the crazy thing of Yarrick yelling at a Space Marine to tell them what to do, and the Space Marine being like, how dare you? And the Black Templar being like, whoa, buddy, he can mess you up.
Yeah, the most potent weapon that Yarrick possesses is not his Stormbolter. It's not even his tank. His most potent weapon is his iron will, the ability to shrug off wounds that would incapacitate most others, the ability to have no fear, even in the face of greater than human beings, and an oratory prowess so compelling that even commanders of the Adeptus Astartes defer to his authority.
Mm-hmm.
There are stories that chapter masters have knelt before Yarrick.
Yeah, like the dude is the man. He is just sitting there aura farming, and all the Space Marines are like, damn, we're transhuman and we don't have those big of balls.
It's extraordinarily rare. So one old human commissar commands such deference. It's a mark of almost supernatural respect. So that's the thing. Yeah, Yarrick, I feel like a lot of this is probably the WoG giving him some power, making him like just a little bit more awesome every time. Who knows? But it's true. His status amongst orcs, though, is even stronger because the greenskins, they consider him like kind of like how the Russian mob views John Wick, right? Like talk about John Wick. Oh, Baba Yaga, right? Baba Yaga. Well, Yarrick is called Old Baali. He's the human who fights like a war boss and cannot be killed, according to legend. Ghazghkull's personal fixation and releasing him when he could have killed him is unique in orc culture. It is defeating a worthy opponent brings more glory than a simple execution. And Ghazghkull knew that he couldn't just execute Yarrick and be like, yeah, he's dead. I took care of it, guys. The orcs, they crave a good fight, and Yarrick they know in their bones that Yarrick can give it to them.
Yarrick is also so well known within the orc language. He has his own glyph, and they have his name in their language. Like, it is just Yarrick, but all orcs know Yarrick. The runt herds tell stories of the legendary Yarrick to scare orcs. Like, that's how well known he is. He is a legend amongst, like, he is the Doom guy of orcs.
Yeah.
Maybe not as crazy as Doom guy, but you know.
Let's not forget 30,000 men died in essentially a propaganda exercise just to get his pimp ride back.
Yeah. I mean, in all fairness, that tank is probably worth 35,000 people.
Oh, speaking of the people he stared down, his first book has him facing off with an inquisitor.
That makes sense.
So there you go. And so at the end of the Third War for Armageddon, again, there's a lot that happens in Third War for Armageddon. We're skimming over a whole lot of it, but that's fine. This is not a show about that.
Yeah, if we were to go over the Third War of Armageddon, we'd have to talk about Angron, because Angron apparently does come up quite a bit.
You know what? If somebody wants to throw us, $50, I will do a sidebar about the entire Third War of Armageddon. But until then, we're talking about Yarrick. So Armageddon, the spoilers, the planet does not fall. The orcs are driven off. Ghazghkull apparently has a vision from the orc gods, Gork and Mork, and that's why he's like, okay, I'm out. And he takes off and flees. And Yarrick is like, okay, High Marshal Helbrecht, you and me, we're going to team up and we're going to go on a crusade to hunt him down. And that's what he does for a very, very long time.
Yep.
And then he's reported dead.
Well, we do have to bring up, second, that Ghazghkull did kind of explode green into the galaxy and disappear.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just, they went in, you know how it works. They travel, they don't really like spend a lot of time worrying about where they're going. They just hit the big red button and they warp drives engaged and off he goes. Oh, you know what? Alexis, because Alexis is awesome, Alexis put together a whole bunch of pictures of Commissar Yarrick over the years. Why don't we take a look at those now? Because
okay,
that would be a lot of fun. His artwork is really rad. His first model, not so much.
It has an 80s charm to it.
There's a certain charm. So this is the artwork for Commissar Yarrick. Look at the thumb and forefinger being the claw. I've never liked that. I always thought that was weird.
The scissor fingers?
Not really, no. But the banner, though, the banner on his back is showing the confrontation between him and Ugelhard.
Yep. Which is wielding a completely different weapon, mind you.
I mean, it's tough to see because the banner is in the background, but yeah. So that's the first picture of Yarrick. Do we have a first model?
Well, I want to talk about this model really quickly, real fast. So Yarrick is in this artwork is wielding a power glove. This is before they were called power fists, which is very weird. As Ross said, the two fingers are the pincers, which is very weird because orcs didn't have this either. And it felt very confusing for his model itself. The bolt gun that he's wielding is belt fed from his back. and has a bayonet attached to it. So he's
Mhm.
one-handing, and this is younger old Commissar Yarrick. So this is when he's about 100.
He's
He went
he's
through a pretty colorful phase.
he's kind of the Liam Neeson of 40K.
Yeah.
He's badass at any age.
So he does have his flak jacket here, and he does have a breastplate over it. From what I can tell, he has a force field that is somewhere on his armor. I cannot find it. I cannot find a piece of war gear that I can point to and be like, that's his force field generator. But he does have a force field generator, and his force field generator is very unique amongst, all force fields in 40K, as it reduces the strength of incoming hits, which is something that most force fields don't do in 40K. Like Guller fields send them to the warp. Flicker fields move you to the side when they're hit. Normal.
Wait, are you
Normal
talking about displacer fields?
displacer and flicker fields do something similar to that. One
Okay.
displaces the round, one displaces you. Then you have the standard Rosarius force field, which is just it hits it with the same amount of energy and does a huge bright light.
Refractor field also.
Yeah, refractive field also does that. But his force field is very unique as it nullifies the projectile, which is kind of really cool. So
Yeah.
this is his Rogue Trader / first edition model, and I think his second edition model as well. And then let me try to find. I'm trying to find the. Yeah, here it is. So here we can actually see the banner itself, and him in all of his colorful glory.
Look at that skeleton crouched on top of the bolter. I just, oh wow.
Yep. Got a whole skeleton on there.
This is definitely an 80s model. I don't think it's even one of the very good 80s models, unfortunately.
I love it.
Okay.
There's something about this model that I absolutely love. Also, his bionic eye in this one is blue, and it is red in every other edition. It is.
So many skulls. Look at all. He's got skulls on his sash. He's got skulls on his pistol holster. Oh my God. He's got skull on his hat, skull on his chest. He's got skull on his back.
Yep.
Oh, his entire back power pack is a skull. And then he's got a skull on the top of the banner pole.
Mm-hmm.
And skulls on the back of the power glove. Look at that. There's just skulls everywhere.
I like the skull backpack. That's my favorite.
Just so many goddamn skulls.
The tubes are the teeth, and I think it's silly. So this is what I think might be his force field generator in first edition and second edition, is this thing here, which also is the power for his bolt gun. I don't know why bolt guns need a power source, but they do for some reason. Or they don't, and people just believe they do. And the power claw itself. Which from the back, it looks more like a power claw and less like a silly hand.
Yeah, agreed. But it's still not great.
No. And in this edition, we have some artwork from him. This is his first edition Rhino transport that has 2 heavy bolters on top of it, or 2 bolters, sorry.
No, those are
bolters.
Those are heavy bolters. Those are definitely heavy bolters.
Yeah, 2 heavy bolters then.
I mean, all right, let me rephrase. The artwork is showing heavy bolters. That doesn't necessarily mean that the Rhino had them rules wise, to be clear. True. So but Hell's Reach is written on the front of the Rhino. So this is clearly post Third War. There's one of the original Storm Boys up there with his weird gas rocket pack attacking. God, this art is so old. My lord.
Weirdly enough, do you know who's in front of that tank?
Gazgul?
That's Gazgul. That is first edition Gazgul. His model was absolutely tiny. He was smaller than the knobs that came with him.
The Storm Boy, Ricardo Andre points out that the Storm Boy looks like a Karandran overlord with that jump pack.
It does. Also, if you notice, the Storm Boy is using a bolt gun.
Yeah, well, they often did back then.
Yeah, back in the day, they definitely had them. I really like this artwork because it shows the weird skeleton bolt gun that he has. It shows the knife attached to it. and it's just very silly. So let me see if I can find the second edition model. Here we go. So this is the first and second edition is this one here.
The
And
guy on
then
the
third
right.
edition and fourth edition, he became more what we recognize today.
Well, first of all, that is a very orky power claw, and that is definitely a Space Marine Stormbolter. And
Yep.
you may notice a relative lack of skulls. I can only count 5 on the front of him right now,
Yep.
which is a significantly less number of skulls.
Did you know? Okay, you know this, but I'm going to tell you anyway, and I'm going to tell the chat. The reason that Caiaphas Cain knew that he was in Tau occupied areas at one point in his book is because of the lack of skulls.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah.
He's like, this is an Imperial.
Also, he lost his back banner, which is a bit of a bummer, but I think the model looks way better, so I'm not going to complain.
I kind of do wish he had his own banner bearer at this point. Like the
right?
newer model, I feel like should have a banner bearer.
So the Aquila plate around his neck there, that's typically what you would see in 3rd and 4th edition as a refractor field. A lot of the officers would wear them. So that's where we think that's on this model. That's what I think is his force field is.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention as well. Also, you notice the bionic eye is now red. Here, this is as good as a zoom I can get. Now, I know, and I'm going to point this out. This is a Space Marine Stormbolter. In fact, it is a Mars pattern Space Marine Stormbolter. The wiki is wrong. The AI is wrong. I have found a thing that shows me that I'm correct. That is an official source from Games Workshop. What he has is a Stormbolter, a Space Marine Stormbolter. He does not have a Godwin Diaz pattern Stormbolter. He was not that close with the sisters.
Yeah. Could you show the brand new model now?
Yes, of course. Although I did want to point out some key differences here between the old and the new, the 4th edition one.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I don't know how he draws his power saber, but he has a power saber.
And he draws it with his left hand. He just he slings the Stormbolter and draws it with his left hand.
Yes, that is how he has to do it. But he has to.
It's a cross draw. It's awkward. It's no denying that it's awkward.
Also, he has his las pistol on his side as well, and you can see that here.
Just like he did on the original model, also had his las pistol.
He has his las pistol here. So he always has 2 ranged weapons, or 3 ranged weapons, which I really like. He has his eye, his bolter, or bolt gun, or Stormbolter, and then he has a pistol, which is really cool. But yeah, he just has a power saber here, and I think that is just cool enough to point out that he has an officer saber. And now we can look at the newest model.
This is the new hotness right here. Again, you'll notice less skulls. He's dropped down from 5 skulls to 2.
Wait, he has 3. He has 3. He has 1 on the.
You're right. Okay, 3. So
here and here.
5 down to 3. He's still losing everyone. He's going to have less skulls every edition.
Oh no, that's the amount of lives he has.
That's right. He loses a skull every time he loses a life.
Now, the cool thing is this Power Claw is, again, much more in line with the current edition Power Claw. It is much bigger. You'll notice that Yarrick is larger and his hands are smaller because GW is switching away from hero scale. So in earlier editions, you'll notice that their hands are gigantic and their heads are as big as their chests. And in newer editions, their head is still pretty big, but it's not cartoonishly big like it used to be. The proportions are a lot better. You can also see that he kept his power saber, which is important. He kept the sling on his Stormbolter instead of getting a Magna Grapple like he should. If you play the Dark Heresy RPG, you know what that is. It's still a Space Marine Stormbolter, which is important to point out. It is slightly different now. It has the
laurels.
What is it? The laurels on the top of it. So at some point he switched out his Stormbolter.
Yeah, the laurels on the previous one when they were wrapped around the barrels. You can see it right there. Yeah.
and he lost a skull on the side of his gun. So he needs to put some back.
He's down to 3 skulls, I'm telling you.
Yep, he's losing lives. The detail on this one is so much better, though. I absolutely love it. But he does look younger. And he now has a wire into his... He has this wire in his head in the second one. And even here in the first one, you can see the wire next to his head. So he now has a wire feeding directly into his brain, which was there originally. I have a sneaking suspicion that this might be what's keeping him going.
No,
it might be...
It's how he controls the Baelai. The Baelai is MIU. And
yeah, it is.
So he's plugged his brain into the Baelai to be able to activate the Baelai without having to pull a trigger.
Yeah. I'm assuming at some point he got rejuvenate treatment, because at this point he'd be almost, I think, what, like 200 something, 200 plus in the Dominus era. So he is old as hell at this point, but he still manages to carry all of his war gear. You will also notice that he's wearing a bit more plated armor on him. This doesn't play a relevant point in the actual game itself, but it does show that he has improved his armor a little bit. And yeah, he still has his force field generator, still has his power claw being powered up by his back. Yeah, dude just looks really cool.
We do have some more artwork to show too. We have some. Yarrick has been shown in a lot of pieces of art. There's his 3rd edition one.
So I'm gonna go back to the side here and go. So again, 2nd edition, really nice. The lightning bolt in the background. I would honestly take this, print it out small, and use it as a banner at this point, because this now looks like in-universe propaganda.
Oh, Yarrick is roughly somewhere north of 250 years old.
He's a little old.
He's definitely old as hell for a human.
This artwork is one of my favorites because it feels the most real. And again, he has a different Stormbolter.
Yeah, that's a much smaller Stormbolter than he usually wields.
Yeah. And in the background, we can see a couple of, this is a Lehman Russ here. This is the Fortress. I don't think this is the Fortress of Arrogance. This looks like another type of Baneblade, and it has its twin heavy bolters and its las cannon up top here. We can also see a Warhound in the background and several Imperial banners, and these look like Stormtroopers, so probably Kasserkins. He looks old.
Those are just, you can't even tell. They're silhouettes. I mean, there's no way to know.
The only reason that I say that they might be Kasserkin is because of the way their gun is handled. Because it looks like the Kasserkin gun.
Let's just focus on Yarrick, because all the other stuff is way out. It's like very difficult to discuss.
Oh, there's also a Medusa in the background, which is cool. But yeah, he also has a purity seal on his power claw now.
Well, that's, again, it's his bionics were certified fresh by the Adeptus Ministorum and the Adeptus Mechanicus. So
now you'll note in this artwork, he has a power sword that's more like a bastard or a short sword instead of his saber. So again, he switched out his sword again, and I love the fact that he keeps having different war gear. It's these minor things that I absolutely love, because it shows that in universe he would probably be swapping weapons constantly because they'd be breaking against orcs. We also can tell that this is he has 4 lives left because he has 4 skulls on him. 1, 2, 3, 4.
yeah. The number does keep going down. This is a cool thing here a lot. This is the death report from the Divisio Mortis, which is the one that keeps track of everybody who dies.
Now, according to the Bell of Lost Souls, it did ring for Yarrick on Terra, and that maybe meant it was for him, but Yarrick has been reported dead multiple times. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want him to be dead.
Just like
Kane.
Yeah.
We do have a super chat.
Yeah, why? But expand on why you wanted him to be dead.
Okay, so the reason that I wanted him to be dead, because it would make sense thematically. You would have this great hero's death at Armageddon, with Angron, and then I just wanted Gosgold to have like a reason to be like so mad that he became something bigger than he is, where he just became a force of the Wa and just fought Angron constantly. And just every time Angron showed up, the Great Green just descended. Like he was the Hulk. Like Yarrick dying, and there's just such a cool moment. Like you'd really die for a human, and Gosgold just being like, "Someone's about to."
Yeah, so Angron, the demon Primarch figure for Angron, featured a skull around his neck that appeared to have a bionic eye, and the internet lost its mind. Everybody said, "Oh my god, he's got Yarrick's skull," and it turned out apparently no, that is not Yarrick's skull. But for a while, it was a big deal, and Alexis had this beautiful headcanon of Gazgul wanting to revenge against Angron.
Makes sense, but Yarrick, yeah, you said it pretty good.
Stormcloak Scald says Yarrick dying equals really good story potential, but he's a mere man and can't live forever anyway. And him killed by Yangrod would inspire Gazgul so much. Yarrick dying off screen is why it sucked. Good point.
Agreed. But I do want to get to that super chat really quickly so we don't forget it.
Elemental Exposure. Thank you for your support, sir. He says, did you say that Gaunt Kane and Yarrick are aware of each other? I mean, it would be hard not to be. They're so famous. It would be very difficult for them to not be aware of each other. I thought the Sabatine Crusade was a few hundred years beforehand. Well, here's the thing. After Big Bobby G, Rabute Gilliman, came back from the dead, it was discovered that the timekeeping practices of the Imperium were exceptionally poor. Their accuracy was considered an F on a grade scale of A through F. We honestly don't know what year it is. In the current era, we have a guess at best, and the warp is weird when it comes to time, and there's the whole time dilation thing. So
the only
maybe
I will correct myself and state this: the only two that I know are absolutely aware of each other is Caiaphas Kane has mentioned Yarrick. We have a few super chats to get through.
Oh, good. Sebastian Miller, thank you for your support, sir. He says, I can't help but imagine Yarrick as a space marine.
Why would you want him to be weaker?
That would only dilute his special sauce.
Yeah. Like, literally, Gosgold called the Space Marines an irritant. Like, he was annoyed that they were there because he wanted to fight Yarrick.
Skara, Prince of the Parade. Thank you for your support, sir. Fun fact, his name means venerated strength. Oh, that's cool. I did not know that.
What language?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Russian?
Well, Sebastian is yeah, it's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
Elemental Exposure, back again, sir. Thank you. We need an epic showdown between our favorite burb and Gazgul's orcs. The Battle of the Caw versus the Wog. The favorite burb in this case, I'm assuming you mean the Gorgon's Talons rather than the Cackling Death. We have it on this channel. We do Let's Builds on our bonus episodes, and we have built a Chaos Warband, which is the Cackling Death, and we've built a Space Marine chapter, which is the Gorgon's Talons, and both of them are bird themed in various ways. So I'm assuming he means the Gorgon's Talons.
Yeah.
Just saying. Biofoot 7874. Thank you, sir. Our local Fishman enthusiast. He says, did Games Workshop revive Yarrick because they don't want to make new characters? It feels more lazy than triumphant to me.
Okay. There are two ways of looking at this, and there are two ways that Games Workshop probably looked at this. One, they were trying to make new characters. They were trying with Ursula Creed and Leontis, but they didn't have the impact in the community. Like, they were both bought, and they were bought in great number because they're so important to a guard army. But if you ask somebody what Ursula's first name was, like, they would just call her Krieg. They'd be like, oh, that's Krieg.
Creed with a D.
Yeah, Creed. See, that's why it's not important. I unintentionally proved my own point. But I think what GW wanted is they wanted a Commissar character I think they had a tough choice between two, and fans really, really like Yarrick. Like, you can't have one of the biggest sources of argument was when the Space Wolves got a box set alongside Gosgol. And it was like, yeah, you guys remember this epic fight from that white dwarf a couple thousand years ago, right? You know, Gosgol's arch enemy. And everyone's like, the Space Wolves are not his arch enemy. Ragnar Blackmane, yes, he beats Gosgol in a fight, gets his head, cuts off Gosgol's head. That's cool. All right, but where's Yarrick? Everyone wanted Yarrick. And then when they declared Yarrick dead in one of the releases, the fans were a little bit not upset, but they were accepting of it. But there was no good story to it. They off-screened him, and it was not what anybody wanted. And if you're gonna have a new edition launch set or a end of the edition hurrah, you need a big character, and Yarrick is that big character, and GW knows that. And from a sales perspective, bringing back Yarrick just makes sense. It will make a lot of money because they have two characters that hold as much of a legendary potential as Yarrick, and that's Krieg and Yarrick. And they're not going to bring Krieg back because he has a model already.
Who?
It's Ursula.
Yeah, that's to say that's Ursula is not the same as the other guy. So anyway,
yeah,
exactly. Suffice to say, can we go back to that previous one for a second there? The one you were talking about. There is a rumor. There's a rumor that the new edition box set could be set on Armageddon. There's also a rumor that the fourth book of the 500 Worlds new books is Armageddon, and that's why Yarrick is back. So it's possible, like Alexis is pointing out, that the end of the edition or beginning of the new edition is a good time to wrap up the story between Gosgol and Yarrick. It would be interesting to give them another shot at each other and see what happens, because Games Workshop has started to show more interest in decisive changes to the setting. And this is one of those rematches that people have been waiting a very, very, very long time to see. So I imagine we're going to see some sort of decisive victory on behalf of one of them. So we'll see. But that's what I think.
Yep, I fully agree with you.
Sebastian Mueller, 7013, says the orcs revived Yarrick because they missed the fight that he gave them. Yeah, I think you're right.
I honestly, yeah. Yeah.
And the question you asked about is where it comes from. It's Greek. Sebastianos is venerable, and then I guess Yarrick is the other is also Greek. I don't see a follow-up from Rush, but I'm sure he'll let us know. But anyway, I think that's also what it means there. Anyway. So that's that. That's up to his death. Now, if you want to show his new model again, I wanted to point out one thing there. You were looking at his legs. That might be armor, but I think those are servo. I think those are servos.
They might be something to help him stand.
Leg braces. I think they're basically leg braces. This guy has been 5 minutes from retirement for over 50 years. Okay, just to keep that in mind. I think the leg braces are an example of his age, his venerable status as the oldest old man. So that's what I think is going on there.
Watch them bring back the Imperial Guard Dreadnought just for him. All right, let's check out some more artwork. So again, I want to point out this is the only official artwork that I could find that has guaranteed the Fortress of Arrogance in the background. Also, if
4
we
skulls.
Yeah, still 4 skulls. The Stormbolter got smaller. And so did the Power Claw a little bit.
I wonder if the Fortress of Arrogance will reappear with Yarrick or not.
So I personally don't think so. But it would be a really cool way to reintroduce the Baneblade kit, because that kit is a little bit dated at this point.
Okay. Could the Yarrick Gazgul thing end in both of them dying? It could, and here's why. If Yarrick is being kept alive for the rematch, that means Gazgul is his life support system. So killing Gazgul, if he kills Gazgul, he also kills himself.
Yeah. And then we got this artwork. This is classic artwork.
That's a proper Gazgul Magaric Thraka right there.
Yep. This is the cover art for Armageddon. This is the Armageddon book that came out and
third
had
edition
stats
codex.
Yeah. Yep. Had a ton of different stuff for it. I think it was a third edition supplement.
I think in Orcish, the word for best friend is also sworn enemy.
It is.
And that's why they're connected.
Oh, and Ricky Chapman's pointing out something funny.
Anyone else find it funny that Krieg was originally an alternative color scheme for Steel Legion, and now Steel Legion is an alternative color scheme for Krieg?
I am greatly amused by this.
That's ironic right there.
Now, one of the cool things that I just noticed in this artwork is there's Yarrick's bolt gun.
Oh, the old one, yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't have its skeleton on it.
Well, it doesn't have the bayonet.
Yeah, it doesn't have the bayonet, doesn't have the skeleton. He has his bolt pistol with laser sight, which is important.
Yeah, red dot, yeah.
He doesn't have his skulls on the back, so he's been killed a few times, apparently. That's a joke. He just doesn't have them on in this artwork. Remember, all artwork in 40K should be looked at as if it's in universe, like propaganda is the best way to think of it.
Here's a really fun fact for you, Alexis.
Yeah.
Reddit r/orcs. They insist that Sebastian Yarrick is an orc war boss, and they will not hear otherwise.
I will raise
an honorary orc war boss.
I will raise you this. Orcs can't read.
I just find that fact hilarious. I find that funny.
Now, some of the cool glyphs on Gazgul here actually do mean things. The checker patterns typically mean death. This shows him as an eater of worlds, which means he's conquered worlds at this point. So this is still like younger Gazgul. As weird as it is to say, these are the younger versions of themselves. Because Gazgul didn't get his full title, because Gazgul has a crazy long name. And I'm not talking about just Gazgul Meg Urk Thraka. He has a whole bunch of titles on top of that, which you can see in the Warhammer Plus animation Old Baelai. And in this, you can see that he only has, like, his Shuda isn't that big yet. He doesn't get the 4 barrels. He only has 3 barrels at this time. And his mega armor is still exposed. And I love this because he still has a hand in there.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought that was interesting that he's not full cybernetic yet. Part of his head is still blown off in this artwork. For those of you that don't know, Gazgul, as a young lad, took a bolt round to the head. It exploded most of his brain. And then potentially a very important character stepped in and saved him. But it was Mad Doc Rotskin who actually saved him.
And well, he also credits that with giving him a closer connection with Gork.
Yep. Which might actually be, Eldred talking to him.
It's not impossible that Eldred Ulthred is behind everything that Gazgul's ever done.
Yep. This is the image of him being dead.
Quote unquote. I love the aqua on his chin there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I wonder if they did that. Oh my God, he gained more skulls.
He's got 4 skulls on in that image. And that's just from the neck up.
He has 5 skulls. You count his own skull.
Oh, right. If he's wearing 4 skulls.
Okay, 4 skulls.
He has a 5th skull, obviously.
Now, this is the transition artwork from 2nd to 3rd edition. This artwork was made before the new model came out.
Mm-hmm.
Before, so they had to try to modernize the older model. And this was the intermediate, experimental artwork for him. So you can see that he still has the power pincer, but he now has a power fist version of it. So it's not quite the power claw yet, but it's getting there. You can also tell that he's a little bit older, and he kind of looks very short in this picture for some reason. And he has a servo skull this time. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 skulls. He has 5. We're almost done with all the artwork. We have the Fortress of Arrogance. We have the new one. We have this one. And then that's it. Yeah, because I was just checking up on sources for Armageddon.
Look at all those damn skulls. I don't even want to try to count them, but there's lots. There's so many.
And
on that
especially
old
if we count. I'm not going to sit here and count, but somebody in chat.
Yeah, figure it out. Figure it out. It's a trip. Woo! All right.
Yarrick is skilled in multiple weapons, and it is important to point this out because he's not just skilled with his right-handed power claw. He's also skilled with a left-handed sword, which, as a Viking reenactor, I can tell you this: a off-handed weapon for an ambidextrous person or a person that is trained an offhand weapon is still incredibly difficult to use. And most of the time, your secondary hand is used for parrying and control. So the fact that he has a sword that he can do that with, especially considering that he fights orcs a lot, this is actually really cool because he probably uses his sword's power field to burn the orcs to momentarily distract them.
Well,
that is the question, Hawk. Is he right-handed? I would argue yes, considering he used... in his original fight, his power sword was in his right hand, and he was off shooting with his left hand for his pistol.
Or chainsword, depending on the source.
Yeah, he was using a chainsword at that time, maybe.
Or power sword, depends on the source.
Yeah, it does.
So, yeah, Yarrick was dead. He was dead. We all thought he was dead. But it turns out, less than a week ago, Games Workshop puts out this video called The Savior of Armageddon Returns, confirming Yarrick is alive. And we got a new miniature, which you guys have all seen. The Baal Eye is blazing. The power claw is raised. He's ready to kick some butt. And so it's almost certainly tied to something occurring soon. And we will, by the way, we're going to have an episode next week where we look at, or even look at it live. I'm not sure. We're still trying to figure out if we're going to do it live or not, but we're going to react to
I'm just trying to figure out what time it comes on.
The announcements from Adepticon for Games Workshop. That's going to be a lot of fun. Oh boy. So that takes us to the point where I should tell you, if you want to know more about Commissar Yarrick, you'll need to do what we did and check out the codexes he appears in, which 2nd edition Imperial Guard, 3rd edition Imperial Guard, 4th edition Imperial Guard, 5th edition Imperial Guard, etc. There's a book called Yarrick Imperial Creed by David Annandale. It's his first mission. Then there's Yarrick Chains of Golgotha, which is also by David Annandale, which is where he gets captured by Gazgul and then released at the very end.
That's another word that we pronounce completely differently.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I just find this amusing, so I just want to point it out real quick. You pronounce it Golgotha. I pronounced it Golgotha. I just find it really amusing. Continue.
So the book Yarrick Chains of Golgotha is where we get the iconic bromance. If you want to see the bromance in action, it's from that book. Steve Parker's Gunheads is the mission to Operation Thunderstorms, the mission to recover the Fortress of Arrogance. And then there's the Siege of Castellax, which is kind of and other Armageddon novels like Hell's Reach by Aaron Dembski-Bowden. And that gives you wider context on the 2nd and 3rd war for Armageddon. So check those things out. They're all available on Black Library. And if you want to listen to them, I think most of them are audiobooks as well. So yeah, the thing about here's the thing about Yarrick. Why does Yarrick resonate so much in a setting full of space marines and star gods?
Dude is just a pissed off old man. He shakes his literal power fist at the sky and tells it no, and it listens.
To me, this is the same trope as Batman Beyond, right? This is the same trope as the old Bruce Wayne. This is what pure human will looks like. No gene seed, no chaos gifts, no Xenos enhancements. I mean, aside from the power claw, this is just a guy. doing his best and doing it so well that he impressed the absolute shit out of an orc warlord, the orc warlord of the current era.
Multiple chapter masters.
Yeah. His relationship with Ghazghkull is arguably the setting's most interesting character dynamic. It's the Batman and Joker. This is why I'm using Batman to reference, because it shows mutual respect between mortal enemies. And in a universe like 40K that rarely allows for such nuance, it's very exciting to see that as a thing.
Also, I do want to point out that Commissar Yarrick doesn't use any combat stims or drugs or anything like that. Like, I was just thinking about that because he is just piss and anger. Like, that is so crazy.
The Emperor protects, and apparently so does Ghazghkull when it comes to Yarrick. His new model has got, the leg braces. But he's still raising the claw. I think it's the new model tells us that the body may fail, but the will does not.
Yeah. Oh, he's so cool.
He's pretty rad. He's pretty rad. So, we should talk about some of the really fun fan theories that are out there.
Oh no.
So many fan theories. I love these.
Is he an orc? It's going to be the first one.
So the orc wog kept him alive. That's my favorite theory. It is a very common theory. Far and away the most widely discussed fan theory is that the orcs power of belief, their green energy, the wog, it is what sustains and keeps Yarrick going, because they all, as a race, as a species, the orcs want the rematch between Ghazghkull and Yarrick. He's become such an iconic mythological figure that it's almost like he's one of the sub-gods of their pantheon.
I always got confused why the orcs didn't have a god of Daka.
I mean,
that it's like now that it's said,
you
can see it, right?
Or a god of speed.
Yeah. Like
why not?
Actual speed freak.
A god of speed and a god of Daka would make a lot of sense. So he's kind of like a weird orcish tulpa, a mythologized being that he's become real through the power of their belief, sustained by millions of alien minds. Of course, there's the best friends and frenemies aspects. The secret bromance between Yarrick and Ghazghkull is one that gets discussed an awful lot, because no one's allowed to kill Yarrick but Ghazghkull. That's the theory. And it is the Batman Joker dynamic. My favorite one, though, is called Yarrick the White.
Oh no.
So
I love it.
It's a little tongue-in-cheek, but if Yarrick were to die, Ghazghkull, who values him more than any other enemy, would use the power of the wog to resurrect him, essentially turning him into an orcified, undying champion. Lord of the Rings parallel to Gandalf the White. He dies as Gandalf the Grey, returns as Gandalf the White. So Yarrick dies as Commissar Yarrick and returns as War Boss Yarrick.
So this might seem silly, but it does coincide with his rules. Yarrick has had rules from early editions to current. Well, he doesn't have current rules that aren't legend, but he has had rules that stated that when he dies, you roll a d6. Depending on the edition, he got up on a certain number because he was just too angry to die. Could this be the orcs being like, we killed him, come on, get back up, and he gets back up? I could see it, but not with current iteration of orcs.
Well, yeah, one of the things I'm strongly hoping for in the new edition is that they bring back the power of belief explicitly for orcs.
Yeah,
but a smaller but more persistent headcanon is that the power claw, Urgelhard's power claw, that has been fused to Yarrick's body for decades, has some sort of residual wog charge or orcish soul or some kind of fragments thereof, because it works perfectly and has never failed. But it would mean that Yarrick has been literally carrying a piece of orc's inside him for so long. And this might explain some of his supernatural resilience. It might be a poetic irony. The man who hates orcs the most has been carrying around orc stuff inside of him for over 50 years. That's possible. And another theory is, of course, that because of this, the Inquisition, especially the Ordo Xenos, has a very thick file on Commissar Sebastian Yarrick.
Right, here's all the problems.
Because his unusual longevity, his inexplicable survival rate, and the personal fixation of the galaxy's most dangerous orc war boss would be enough to make an Ordo Xenos Inquisitor set up a tick notice. And I think that's pretty reasonable, actually.
Yeah.
Those are some of my favorite theories. Do you have any that you'd like to share?
When it comes to Yarrick, I honestly don't think it's that much of a theory. I think he's an old man who just had Rejuvenat. Like, while his body is still breaking down because he hasn't had Rejuvenat too much, the new one is he just did and is now ready to fight again. I think he's just perpetually going to stand there and fight. In fact, he might actually be a perpetual. It would explain his rules of getting back up.
All right. So if Yarrick were to die in return, would that be Orc Easter?
You're not wrong.
I mean, Reddit has already declared it Orc Easter because Yarrick has returned from the dead. I think that's hilarious.
That is pretty funny.
Here we go, boys. Yarrick's back. It's Orc Easter.
Although I think making him like actually a perpetual, like stating that he is a perpetual, does take away from his character.
Well, I know one way to keep Yarrick immortal.
How?
Just have an orc invasion every time he files paperwork for retirement. It's never stuck.
Yeah. Although I can imagine when he's finally like gets the death blow and is about to die, like they get him away just in time, like a Space Marine apothecary like somehow stabilizes him. He comes back in the next edition as a dreadnought.
Oh, here we go. He's risen. The Eternal Crusader says, love it. So on r/orcs, like I said, he's an honorary war boss, and the full statement that they often will post at the beginning of their post will say, his name was the war boss Sebastian Yarrick, and you will give him the respect of saying his full name.
That's another question, Ross. Do the orcs know his first name? I personally think Gosgold knows his full name, but I don't think the orcs actually know his first name.
Yeah, they probably just call him Yarrick or Baelai. Yeah. I think most orcs know him as Baelai. Some know him as Yarrick, and then I think Gazgold's probably maybe Orchimedes. Yeah, Gazgold and maybe Orchimedes are the only two that maybe know his full name.
Taka probably knows it as well. He's a smart orc.
Quite possibly. So yeah, that is the majority of things we have to say about Sebastian Yarrick, but there is a really cool animation you should go check out. And of course, there's all those books that we talked about and things of that nature. I'm excited to see what happens to him because if he went off with Grimaldus after Hell's Reach, or Helbrecht, actually, sorry, Helbrecht. I think Guilliman recalled the Crusades, and if he did, there's a possibility that Yarrick and Guilliman have met.
Do you think he'll actually talk to him?
I mean, why not?
I mean, he is not. Guilliman has a track record of talking to men and is terrified of the Living Saint because it proves him wrong. My dad is not a god, literally Celestine flying behind him, putting a giant iron halo on him. Nuh-uh, I don't see that. No.
So, yeah, Commissar
just pointing out the Living Saint behind him, like, hey, that's like an angel from your dad. Maybe you should look at that. No, if I don't think about her, maybe she'll leave.
Yarrick fought the greatest war boss of the current era to a standstill twice. That's big. That's very big. The fact that he personally dueled a war boss and killed him and took his arm, that's cool. You know, Kane's done stuff like that. Gaunt's done stuff like that. But neither Kane nor Gaunt have accomplished what Yarrick has accomplished, which is that massive war. And dealing with it, not necessarily single-handedly, but dealing with it in such a significant and important role. You could argue that Gaunt has a major role in the Sabatine Crusade, and that is true. And you could argue that Kane has a major role against several orc battles, which is also true. But neither of those things featured a foe quite as dangerous, quite as
main character.
Yeah, main character energy as Ghazghkull, Maguruk, Thraka. So
yeah.
we should do a whole episode on Ghazghkull at some point in the future.
Yeah, we should.
Because I would like to talk more about Ghazghkull. I'd like to show you his first model, which is teeny weeny.
In fact, I had his first model for so long and thought it was just an orc boy. That's how small he was. But, Ross, we are at the 2-hour mark. Should we not think about doing that giveaway?
I suppose we can also bring up the giveaway. So why don't you talk about the box set and talk about how cool it is while I work on that banner.
So the box set itself is Cadia stands. It comes with 2 field artillery guns, a bunch of Cadians, a command squad, and a sentinel. The sentinel's new design is actually really cool, and I really like it because it's a VW bus with legs. It doesn't look like it's out of Star Wars anymore. It still kind of does, but not really. It definitely has its own unique shape now, and I love it. The field artillery pieces are absolutely amazing, and if you are going to assemble them, I highly recommend that you don't glue down their guns, because you can just swap in and out their guns, and it is super good for it, and I absolutely love them. The Cadians themselves are doing extremely well in tournaments with, oh god, I can't remember their detachment name. Oh my god, why am I forgetting their detachment name? But it allows them to reroll 1s to hit and has a bunch of special abilities that help out the army quite a bit. Grizzled Company. Thank you, Brain.
So the new giveaway is live for the Cadia Stance box. Type !Yarrick in the chat once and only once to enter for the giveaway. And Hawk will help us keep track, and we will be able to determine our winner shortly. So, what are our other thoughts on Commissar Yarrick? Anything that you'd like to bring out?
So, Commissar Yarrick, I'm a little disappointed that he's not coming with Armageddon Steel Legion. I was a little bit disappointed by that.
No, I'm honestly unhappy about that. I think the Armageddon Steel Legion has been gone for too long. I'd really like to see them come back.
Yep, I fully agree with that. I was really hoping for a kill team for them, but honestly, I get it. I think GW wants to rotate certain miniatures, and having too many guardsmen that are just, it's this, but with this rule, fills too many shelves and doesn't really sell that well. So I'm a little bit iffy about it, but I'm okay with it. I think the Deathcore Krieg models look good enough, and if you paint them as the Armageddon Steel Legion, they'll look just fine. Well, that's always been my problem with the Armageddon Steel Legion and the Kriegers, is that they look too closely similar. I kind of wish we did have more of the death helms of the Armageddon Steel Legion with the skull face. I thought those were really unique. Maybe that could be the kill team, but I doubt it. We might get an upgrade kit in the future for them.
Well, you make a really solid point that the Armageddon Steel Legion and the Krieg, the Deathcore Krieg, they look very, very similar. And that is a problem when you're trying to sell models. It's worth thinking about, because I think at one point I wanted to do an episode on the lost and forgotten regiments of the Guard, and we were going to talk about the Praetorians and the Adelan Rough Riders and the Catachans. We haven't seen Catachans in quite a while.
Yep.
I mean, I think we had a main a named character a little while back, Straken maybe, but
yeah,
or Marbo. Anyway, there's a lot of regiments that have fallen by the wayside. The Valhallans, we haven't had a Valhallan miniature.
My God, I would kill for Valhalla, or the
Talarn.
The first and only would also be a really good one.
The first and only. They've had model releases from Black Library and from Forge World back when those were separate studios doing their separate things.
New models.
I'm with you on that. But the Talar and Desert Raiders also don't have any new models. There's so many great. The Salvar Chem Dogs deserve one for sure.
The Elysians.
The Elysian drop troops. There's a lot of really cool regiments of the Guard that need of the Astra Militarum that need more representation. I would love to see the people fielding different groups. However, I am not plugged into Games Workshop's financials, and I can't tell you whether Cadians outsell them, but I imagine that they do, because Cadians have kind of been the only ones you can buy for a very, very long time. So it's a question of like, is it worthwhile to Games Workshop to bring back these the Vistorian Firstborn, for example? Is it worth them taking time and effort to create these alternate regiments that maybe nobody buys?
Yeah, because one of the big things is that they will be sitting on store shelves. Like, that is a whole thing, is that they are going to sit on some stores and you have to buy them if you're part of the stockist program. This is some stuff that I can tell you as a manager of a game store for 10 years, is that we have to buy a certain amount from Games Workshop each month. And if stuff's not moving, we still have to buy it, and it sucks. Well, we do have to order up until a certain amount. We have to have a certain amount on the shelf. And it does suck when we're stuck with like a Space Marine Tactical Squad for 20 years, because we know it won't sell. So I can understand where it's like, hey, here's the Armageddon Steel Legion. Isn't this cool? Or the newest model I can think of that's going to sit on store shelves forever is the Tyranid Prime with Lash Whip. It's a completely useless model. He's way too many points. Everybody looked at that and was just like, this is absolute garbage. And my store pre-ordered 10 of them, which is the lowest pre-order they've done. And I don't think a single one sold on the release day, which is huge, because they now have 10 of them that are going to sit there, and maybe like mothers and fathers pick it up for their kids, or, somebody who doesn't know the hobby is just like, this guy, and buys it, but that's going to take years.
Well, I think we have an interesting point here from, sorry, wrong one. The Eternal Crusader. He says, did we notice the Mordian Iron Guard patch on the presenter's jacket from the preview vid?
I did.
Mordian Iron Guard. Yeah, those guys would be cool as hell to come back too. I dig them. That would be a good one. And the Professor Shat points out the Maccabean Janissaries, our very own from the Only War role-playing game, Maccabean Janissaries. They are a very cool regiment, and I'd love to see. God, wouldn't that would make my cold black heart beat again? Would be to see the Maccabean Janissaries as miniatures.
Yes,
that'd be so rad. Okay, well. What are some other things we could talk about with regards to Yarrick? We could go back and look at some of the more events of the second or third Armageddon War. We could talk about any of the novels he's been in. I don't know if we have miniatures to look at this weekend or not.
We do. I'm just waiting until we get to the 30-minute mark.
Okay, fair enough. So, an interesting point I should point out is that the Third War for Armageddon did not necessarily end with Ghazghkul's departure and Yarrick's departure. Their great rift opened up, and Armageddon has been cut off from all outside contact. And when the Imperial relief forces finally broke through, they found that the demonic legions of Khorne and Tzeentch were there. And they were fighting each other as much as they were fighting the people on the planet. So in a grim irony, several cases where the Imperials and the Orcs became temporary allies fighting against these supernatural foes.
Which is super amusing. Just like,
I know.
Hey, Orc, stop shooting me for a second. There's an imaginary creature over there I need to kill.
There was a relief force led by the 9 Space Marine. Sorry, a relief force composed of 9 Space Marine chapters led by the Salamanders. They arrived and they moved to prevent a ritual that would have summoned a greater manifestation of Angron, the demon Primarch of Khorne. The ritual was halted, but large areas of the planet remained demon warped. and the struggle for Armageddon grinds on with no end in sight, except possibly when Yarrick and Gaskell return, which they might, or Yarrick and Wazdaka Gudmak, depending on who the Orc War Boss is in the new set.
Oh, Wazdaka Gunsmack was on Armageddon.
Yeah, so there's that.
Yeah,
there's
so
that. Oh, the Orc Hunters, Rush points out, with Sluggas and Choppas. So tough, Catachans were impressed. I forgot about them.
Oh, yeah, they existed.
That's right.
That was from the Armageddon book.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah,
all right,
cool.
So I'm going to stop this banner in about 30 seconds. Get your votes in if you are, or sorry, not your votes. Get your entries in if you are participating in the giveaway. Hawk, get ready. We're going to announce the winner once the banner stops. Or yeah, Hawk or Lord Vorn. Thank you. We have multiple mods.
See, I remember you. Also, guys, if you do want to support the channel and chime in with your own theories on Yarrick or the 11th edition that's coming out, and maybe what's in that box set, please comment down below. And if you're super awesome, give us a super chat. It keeps clothes on our back, which is very important for streamers.
Congratulations, Ricky Chapman. Woo!
Ooh, nice.
You win the Cadia stand set. Love it. So if you and Rush would both make sure to give your information to Lord Vorn / Hawk, they will make sure to get that stuff ready for you guys, and we will get it sent out to you. So please make sure you get in touch with Lord Vorn or Hawk Audley and get your information out there. Hey, if you are listening to us and you think what we're talking about is cool because we're doing a deep dive into the grim darkness of the far future, you could help out our algorithm a great deal to spread the heresy to other minds by doing a like and subscribe on our show. Also, if you want to learn more about other giveaways that are coming up or cool things that we're going to talk about, or even vote on future topics, you can check out our Discord. We have a very active Discord. Hawk will probably put up a link to it in the chat for you guys. And the guys that are part of our community on Discord are called Lore Seekers. They get to see a lot of cool stuff that's coming down the pipe for Lorebeards ahead of time. So that's why I would recommend being a part of that. At any rate, there was a great question here. So it was...
You got this. I believe in you.
I found it. Eternal Crusader. Gaz versus Angron over who gets to fight Yarrick would be straight up legendary.
So I think this is where the new fight is going to be. And unfortunately, I think Angron's going to meet his match. Well, Angron constantly meets his match. Like everyone's a better fighter than him.
Yeah, I mean, so if this were to come to pass, I think I would be disappointed because I don't see Angron beating Gaskell because, and if he does, if Angron, so there's no winning here, right? If Angron loses, it's just another Angron loss.
Yeah.
If Gaskell loses, it feels like kind of a cheat because he didn't get to fight Yarrick.
Oh my God! I just figured out how it's going to go down.
Okay, let's hear it.
All right. So, you've read The Siege of Terror, right?
Well, some of it, yeah.
Okay, do you remember that scene where Angron came down like a meteor and hit the planet and was like badass, and that was his opening scene? So I'm imagining that, and you see Gaskell just being like, "Oi, that's my Humie!" And he goes running towards him, and as they're both fighting, you just see Yarrick on the other side, and he's just like, hold, hold, hold. And then as they crash into each other, he's just like, fire, and just blast them both. They get knocked backwards. They have to like not team up, but Angron decides that, you know, Gaz isn't actually the threat. He's going to go flying after them. But as he goes flying towards him, Gaskell just reaches up, grabs him, slams him to the ground, and is like, we ain't done fighting yet. And they're just fighting while artillery is barraging them. I think that would be the best way to do it. And have them eventually like back off as the world eaters start coming in, and how like Gaskell's bully boys start teleporting in.
That'd be rad. That would be rad. So we have a couple of comments that I thought were really good. We have one from Micah. He says, so Lorebeards, what do you hope to see Yarrick do in the future? Fight Gazgul.
Die.
Fight Gazgul and die. I would say, so one thing that's really cool about the new trailer is that it shows Yarrick dealing with some sort of Imperial commander who is telling the troops to retreat from Armageddon. And when we watched this in our preview, sorry, our predictions video for our Adepticon, I said that guy, it reminds me of Herman von Straub. It might, and that's why I was kind of curious whether it was a historical event or current era, which we now know it is current era.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of Yarrick getting some sort of symbolic revenge on von Straub by killing an Imperial commander. I hope that is actual truth that he did that, because that would be very in character for Yarrick, and he would probably feel a small bit of satisfaction. Maybe not full satisfaction because von Straub is dead, but someone like von Straub that he was able to deal with.
I also have a theory that he shot that guy with his las pistol or his bolt. He didn't shoot him with a bolt weapon. Because if he shot that guy with a bolt weapon, he would explode.
Maybe he shot him with his Baelai.
Actually, yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. We'd have to watch the video again, but it's so Yarrick, I'd love to see Yarrick interact with Guilliman or the Lion, frankly. And we have to have Yarrick and Kane and Gaunt in the same room. Please, for the love of God, Games Workshop, make this happen. That is something I desperately want, is all three of them to talk, even for just a scene, to have them talk would be amazing.
Yeah. Although they are outside of time, it's weird. Warp mumbo jumbo, they can get together.
There's no reason why they couldn't. We know that Kane's still active. We believe Gaunt is still active. It's possible. So
Kane actually just came out of retirement in his last book.
That's right. Hey,
sorry, spoilers.
Hey, he'd have something in common with Yarrick. They could talk about retirement.
Yeah.
Gaunt's over in the corner like, I'm not going to retire. I'm going to die of this job. What about you, Alexis? Anything that you would want Yarrick to do?
So I want a good fight. I want Gazgul to fight Yarrick one more time. I want Yarrick to probably not necessarily live through the battle, but get scarred by the battle. And I don't know. I want more introspection from Gazgul. It's a weird thing, but I want Gazgul to reflect on everything as he's fighting Yarrick. Like, this is where I need to be. This is where we need to be. Like, at any and all times, this needs to happen. And Gazgul's entire, like, almost personality needs to be built around this fight, this never-ending war. And even if Yarrick is to fall, he simply rises back to his feet.
I like that. I like that a lot. I also really like this comment from Rush. Yarrick increasingly orcifies himself. Shaved teeth, green tattoos, and the Inquisition is like, what? But he's too good to bother. That would explain, that's from the idea of the orc soul being in part of him.
Yeah.
And also, Rush says, I would love a Dark Heresy campaign about the Inquisition team working their way through the Hive to kill von Straub. Yeah, I mean, it's credited to the Last Chancers and Schaefer, but a Dark Heresy Inquisitor team, that would be pretty rad.
Yeah.
That would be rad.
I want Imperial Maledictum to come out with some actual, like, mission books. But that's just me. I want actual stories in that.
Our Inquisitor / Rogue Trader were tasked by Yarrick to kill von Straub while Yarrick was at the front. This is canon.
I love it.
Well, we actually, if you want to know more about Dark Heresy, we have a channel called Lorebeards and Role Playing where we've talked about it a few times and had Mike Mason, the original designer, on. I also know a lot about Dark Heresy, so there was that. And we actually built characters for Dark Heresy on that channel as well. Now, over here on Lorebeards 40K, we have an episode called Let's Build a Rogue Trader Retinue. And I would like to do one for an Inquisitor at some point. I think that'd be a lot of fun. The Rogue Trader one was actually one of our best episodes, in my opinion. I really enjoyed it. Super fun. All right, so let's see here. Yeah, Rush. I forgot about the Last Chancers. I think Games Workshop's forgotten about them. They haven't been talked about in a while.
I keep getting the Last Chancers confused with Gaunt's Ghost. Like, I don't know why. I just do.
Well, they're very different. They're very, very different. The
I
Last
know.
Chancers are they're the equivalent of the Dirty Dozen. A more modern take would be something like the Suicide Squad. They're the misfits, the guys who were sentenced to death, and now they wear a bomb collar. So yeah, we should do an episode of the Last Chancers. That would be a lot of fun, because they are really neat, and their exploits are a lot of fun. I think Gav Thorpe came up with them, actually.
And their models were atrocious looking.
Well, although it was at the time one of the few ways you could get a female Imperial Guard officer, Imperial Guard model.
It looked horrible.
I'm not going to lie. You're right. But it was important because it existed.
Yep.
And
like
it
the
was
old female Space Marine.
Yeah, well, there was we could honestly talk about like representation in the models for years and years, because if you recall, well, I don't actually, you probably weren't involved. So when the first skiff was made for Asdrubal Vecht back in 3rd edition, he had some slaves on board the ship.
The slave girls that looked horrendous.
One of them was clearly a Sister of Battle, FYI.
Yep.
So there's that. She was the one who was holding a knife behind her hands, which I thought was pretty cool. Little fun little details. And there was a female Commissar model that was made. I actually have it in my collection. It's rare. It's very rare and old, but they did have a female Commissar model. Hopefully they'll have more in the future, because I know that Severina Rain is a female Commissar who's got some really cool books, and Minka Lesk is another.
Minka Lesk is amazing. She has one of my favorite moments in a book. She's holding down her shaking like a shaking officer who's clearly going through PTSD, and she's just like, stop, otherwise the disciplinary officers will punish you. And
That's right.
Like, it's so 40K. Like, the book is actually like, it's a really good book. I'm not going to spoil anything else in it, but there's this that scene is like so 40K, because they're just like, they'll turn you into a servitor if they know you have PTSD. They don't care about you.
Yeah, well, specifically in those books, the Commissars were not friendly. They were not Commissar Kane. They were not Commissar Kant. They were ready to shoot you if you were not. If you were not right.
The thing with Yarrick, he's the only, like, out of the big 3 Commissars, he's the only Commissar that acts like a Commissar. He does kill his own men if they retreat, but they typically don't. That's
the thing, is I was going to point out, he's famous for not having to do that at Hades Hive. So technically all of the big 3 Commissars are reluctant to shoot their own men.
Except for, Yarrick killing the planetary governor in the newest
animation. Sure, that does happen, right? That did happen, but again, he's famous for not doing it. So it's still, I mean, God has executed guys. Kane has executed guys. All 3 of them have done it. It's just like they're not really big on doing it.
Kane's execution was one of my favorites, because there's just these it's at the end of a battle, and there's these 2 survivors, and they're like almost untouched, and they're just being escorted by guardsmen onto a shuttle, and Caiaphas stops them and blows their heads off. Just 2 shots, kills them both.
And because he saw that they were tainted by gene stealers.
Yep. And he's like, check them. And there's gene stealer embryos inside them.
Yeah.
And it was such a, like, for a character that's like almost Zap Brannigan to be serious for a second is actually kind of scary. Because these 2 did not see that coming at all.
Those books are really good. Rush points out that Severina Rain's book gives off Gaunt vibes with a drug smuggling B plot that I loved. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. Agreed. There's some really good books about Commissars out there, including the ones we've already mentioned for Commissar Yarrick. Does anybody have any questions for us about Yarrick and his return, or theories about what he might be doing when he returns? Lots of stormtrooper action in the Severina Rain book, says Rush. Yeah, stormtroopers are cool. Well, Tempestus Scions or the Caserkin. I mean, it depends on who they are now. They used to be old school stormtroopers were weird guys with berets. They live on as the Tempestus Scions or Scions, depending on how you pronounce it.
Scions,
and they have the berets. But I always liked the Caser Kid. Caser Kid were so cool. When I started working at Games Workshop, the Caser Kid had just been released, so I was all over them.
I don't know what it is, but I honestly, this is one of my weirdest little takes. I like the old metal Caserkin better than the current ones. The current ones are just arguably better looking models. But I have like nostalgia for the older ones. They don't look as good, and I'm fully aware of that, but I like them more.
Eternal Crusader says, not a theory, but a prediction that Armageddon will fall to the orcs at last.
But do the orcs want that?
I think they do. I think the orcs want to win.
Well, winning to the orcs is a weird thing, because winning to an orc is to have an eternal fight. Like, that's winning to them.
Then the Overfiend of Octarius has been winning and winning and winning and winning.
Exactly.
So there you go.
I think winning for them involves a never-ending war where, like, they take the planet, Imperials take it back, they take the planet, Imperials take it back, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, but that could describe Armageddon.
Yeah, so I think the orcs are winning.
Well,
it's just Gazgul wants to build up the planet a bit so he can go back to the Eternal War.
Well, that's the thing. If they take the planet, then they'll start doing that, and then they'll attract another. It could Armageddon is and should be the world of Eternal War. It should constantly be under threat. Question from Acne Zebra: how does Yarrick see the wider Imperium? Humans that live that long must have a different view of things. He's pretty focused.
Yeah, he's very focused on like the Armageddon system right now.
Well, he's focused on orcs. He's very focused on orcs. So,
as far as I know, he values his Steel Legionnaires more than any other regiment, but he does just wave his hand and kill entire regiments. Like, he did kill multiple regiments to get back a Baneblade.
Yeah,
it's just a Baneblade at the end of the day.
The most important and interesting thing about Yarrick is his relationship with Gaskell, frankly. Unfortunately, we could talk about Kane and we could talk about Gaunt and how they see the wider Imperium, because those guys have had a lot of novels that really dive into their psyche. Mm-hmm. Yarrick has very few novels comparatively, so and I haven't read them, so I can't tell you right now.
Yeah.
We've got Micah says, what about the opposite? What do you think Games Workshop should not do with Yarrick now that he's back?
Have him fight and defeat Angron. I think Angron showing up at the next Battle of Armageddon is actually just a mistake. I feel like they're using Angron too much as the whipping boy, and he's just going to show up, get beat, lose, leave. And it's not something I want to see. I would much rather see like different factions show up. The one I would like to see is Yarrick's interaction with like Eldred. That could be something out of completely left field where he's just like, hey, you've been fighting Gazgul too long. He's become too strong and I can't control him anymore.
Tip his hand just right then and there. Well, that's a possibility. I don't know about that. And then we've got one from Rush who says, I'd love to know what Yarrick hopes to do to permanently stop the orcs in the long run, not just repel the invasion.
So hear me out. Hear me out. I don't think Yarrick wants to stop the orcs. As much of a weird answer as this is, I think Yarrick also yearns for the war that never ends. Because it keeps him alive. It's what he's made for. Because like even in the animation, you can see him doing paperwork and he's just like frustrated because he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. So if you go down the orky route of him being influenced by the orcs as much as he influences the orcs, then the Eternal War is something that he also wants, and he views anything that gets in the way as annoying.
Oh, you want to talk about annoying, Alexis? I got something for you. What's your least favorite series of books from the Black Library?
Beast Arises series.
Do you know what the Beast Arises series has to say about Armageddon?
What?
It says that Armageddon is actually Eleanor that was teleported from its location in the galaxy to a different location in the galaxy and then resettled as Armageddon and forgotten that it was Eleanor.
Then why would that matter?
I know, right?
It's so dumb. This planet was actually this other planet, but we forgot about it. Then, okay, cool. Did you need to fill like 500 words or something?
Apparently, the Mechanicus wanted to study the orc technology left behind in Eleanor, and they decided to move it because reasons.
It isn't the first time that a planet has been moved by the Imperium, and it's not going to be the last, but it's still really dumb when it happens.
As far as I'm aware, this information is not in any of the rule books or codexes. It is only in the novel. So that means secondary canon. So
yeah,
maybe.
Especially with the Scouring series coming up and putting things into certain places. And I think the Scouring series is going to end with... I forget which one comes first. Does the Sisters come first or the Beast Arises? It's the Beast Arises, right?
Beast Arises is 2,000 years after the heresy. So yeah, it's pretty early.
It's the Beast Arises, then it's the Sisters. So I think it's going to end with the Beast Arises series. Well, but man, I am not looking forward to that. The Scouring books I am looking forward to because I want to know the exact moment that Lion and Luther fight.
Interestingly, a large orc wog has descended on Krieg, says Lord Vorn, post Great Rift. So perhaps all the Kriegers on Armageddon are doing a crash course on orc killing before redeploying. Are you talking about the Armageddon Steel Legion that is in the video? Or I don't know. This is fun. I don't know if it's how relevant it is per se, but it's
so. Let's take a look at some miniatures, shall we?
All right.
So if you guys don't know, if you post miniatures in our Discord, there is a good chance that they will show up on the stream itself, and we will talk about them and some of the conversions you guys do, some of the paint jobs you do. And if you don't want it to be on the stream at all you have to do is just say, hey, Alexis, don't put this on stream. And I will completely respect that. Or I will completely miss that, go, oopsie daisy, my bad, and take it off the stream. Because I am sometimes forgetful.
Oh, sure. Star Fury points out that the Mechanicum were told to destroy Eleanor, but the Mechanicus being Mechanicus, they moved it instead.
Yes. The simple task of moving an entire planet.
Rather
which
than...
would definitely not have, catastrophic effects on the rest of the planets.
A wizard did it.
Yeah. It's space magic. You got to stop. I got to pretend that it doesn't affect everything.
Well, this is a pretty wacky model. Look at this guy. This is a conversion. I've got a big tentacle coming out of his knee. He's got a demon face. I'm guessing some sort of possessed is what we're looking at.
Like a possessed Terminator. I like this.
He's got an iron halo for some reason.
I mean, it does look like a regular Terminator, like an Astartes Terminator, not a corrupted Terminator.
Well, he's got
then later corrupted.
Chaos Power Claw, though.
Yeah. So, I think it's the Indomitable Terminator armor.
Indominus, yeah.
Indominus, yeah.
This is clearly a work in progress. It is definitely not done.
If that tentacle was somewhere else, it would be hilarious.
The knee is a very strange place for a tentacle. I will agree with that.
It does make sense for a chaos spawn. I will say that. I like it.
Who did this one?
Hellflare.
Okay, Hellflare. I'm going to assume this is a work in progress and not a final model. Show it to us when you've got a little more work done on it, because it's very rough right now. It's very, very rough.
I dig it. I dig it. We got another conversion, and again, I absolutely love the craziness of this because it reminds me of like the old chaos stuff where it was just like a bunch of things exploding out of a marine.
I mean, conversion wise, this is very creative. This is like a little coil or spark plug, maybe that's sticking out of his arm.
Yeah,
I think that might be off a spark plug.
And then a flamer of Zinch hand on the back.
And then the head is
okay. What I'm more interested in is hang on, wait for it. That that is an old world tower.
It sure is.
I like this. I think it's silly. It's got like it's definitely Zinchian vibes. I like it.
It's very Zinchian. I can't argue with that. It is also very, very, very rough and very, very, very definitely not done.
And since we were talking about commissars,
hey,
also
wow.
good on you for a darker skin tone. I absolutely love that. Inclusivity and skin tones is very important to me.
Who's the guy who did this one?
This is done by Albion.
I see you, Albion, with that Stargrave book right there. I see you. I see you with the Joseph McCullough Stargrave. I like Joseph McCullough's book. He makes some really great skirmish books. Okay, so this is good. I like the paint scheme. I like the use of the armor being blue and the fatigues being green. It works out really, really well. There's some fun little details on the base for the heavy weapons team, which is really nice. That Commissar, though, is the one that is the least finished.
I don't know. I think he's pretty nice. I would do a little bit more on the blue, but that's about it.
Well,
I think it's the lighting here that's messing with him.
Possibly. It doesn't appear he has any paint at all on his hands or his face aside from the beard. Aside from the hair. So I'm not sure.
It is a very dark skin tone. You can see the highlights on the face. You can see some of the highlights on the skin itself here, but it does look like
that might just be the lighting. Yeah, that just might be the lighting. I'm going to say that Commissar, it doesn't look finished to me in the current setup, but the individual models, if you want to zoom in on the guys in the front rank, for example, those guys are looking really good. Mm-hmm. I like everything about those. They look really good.
And then we have some Leagues of Otanians. These are their berserks.
Whoa, check those guys out.
And everyone knows the less armor you wear, the harder you are to kill in 40k for some reason.
Double power fist. Look at that.
Yep. And you gave them the graviton hammers and one with the axe. I can't remember what the axe is called. And then one with a mole mortar. And the Ironkin has the axe on their back.
Nice.
This is really cool. I like this a lot.
And the bases look good.
Mm-hmm.
Those are good bases. Well done.
Yeah. 10 out of 10. Amazing. Chthonian Berserks.
What?
They were called Chthonian Berserks.
No, they're not. There are no Votan on Chthonian. First of all, Chthonian is a world that was the homeworld of Horus. There are guardsmen regiments from Chthonian still active in the 41st millennium, which is kind of surprising to me. But they're not Chthonian. I don't know what they are.
Well, that's the name of their unit.
It's still not loreful, and I'm going to point that out.
Yeah, Chthonian is a word that pops up quite a bit in the Votan's lore.
Really?
Yes. Like a lot.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Plasma axes, thank you.
I'll have to check that out. Chthonian. Yeah, I'm curious to find out what the relationship is. We need to do an episode on the Votan, and we need to do it soon.
Yeah, it'll be all of 10 minutes because that's all the lore they have. So these are their these aren't outriders, these aren't Jaegers. Jaegers are the ones that ride them. These are what are their bikes called? Oh my god, I completely forget what their bikes are called. And you didn't post the name of them. Dang it, I can't cheat. But hang on, I can figure out their name really quickly. I have technology.
There are no Votan on Chthonian, only squats. So Spitfire.
Where are the Leagues of Votan? Codex Leagues of Votan.
Okay. So in Leagues of Votan, the Chthonian mining guilds are a powerful guild within the kin. They specialize in extreme environment mining.
Yep.
Okay, so it's the name of a guild, not a place. That's helpful. That's still very interesting. But Chthonic in general means underworld, so that's probably where that came from.
How am I not finding their names? Pioneers. Thank you. These are the tricycles from back in the day.
They look good. Yeah, and I'm assuming it's a name issue. It's not related to the planet. Let's put it that way.
No, probably not. I hate putting these things together and painting them because there is a certain way that you have to put these things together and paint them. And it is the most infuriating build I've ever had to do. And I've had to paint 18 of these damn things. They are so irritating, but I figured out how to do it really quickly. And now I can paint them in about a day to paint 6 of them.
They look good.
Yeah, I also always magnetize this guy on the back here because just for ease of transport. I like it.
Yeah, those are quality. Whoa, mama.
God,
now we're
I wish
talking.
This guy had rules.
That's a Crusader. And he looks
this is
awesome.
By Nestor
Vitumbra, damn. You're killing it. That thing looks great.
It's a model that bugs the hell out of me because this thing technically came out in 10th edition, but it came out in a board game for Barnes & Noble. It came out prior to that in a Inquisitorial Entourage unit that was then discontinued because it was part of a box game. And then it was moved to a set from Barnes & Noble. And then the Crusader was actually taken out of the Sister of Battle Codex and has not been seen since. And it really annoys me because the Crusaders are so important to the Ecclesiarchy, and they really need to just be in a kill team already. Like, it annoys me. We've had 2 kill teams that they could have appeared in, and they haven't. It's the only thing from the older codexes that isn't here.
I should point out that if you want to role play as a Crusader, they do have rules in Dark Heresy.
Yep.
From Ascension, I believe.
And they're insanely powerful.
They're very good.
I love them. I love them so much.
I love
that they have a Saleh helmet.
This is an excellent paint job. This is win your local painting tournaments paint job. Well done.
I like this a lot. Good job. And then we got a purple marine.
Nice.
This is from Streck. That's how I'm going to pronounce that. And I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. They left a little message with it. It's his friends that painted a test mini. So if this is their test mini, goddamn, get them painting more miniatures.
Yes, for real. This is a hell of an effort for a first try. I'm very impressed.
Good base work, good plasma. You got the buttons ready on the I forget what that thing is called. I can't remember what that piece of war gear is called. Power sword looks good. It looks dinged up like it's supposed to. I hate when people do clean power swords. It annoys me. There should always be like almost sideways stripes on it because it shows wear and tear on it. The white could be a little bit better, but it's fine. It's white. It's very hard to paint. I love the gold. I think it looks great. Yeah. The only note I would say is blackwash the helmet a little bit. Just water down some Nuln Oil and put it on there to get the edge of that this part here.
That's
the edges here.
That's an Auspex or tactical interface on his arm.
Yeah. I'm assuming it's a tactical interface.
Okay.
And then we got, boom, the side. I love that you actually have damage to the pauldron itself.
You can see
really good.
You can really see the issue with the white on the helmet here. Alexis, what's the technique to get a nice clean white color on a helmet?
Okay, the easiest way of doing it is take your helmet, put it on a popsicle stick, spray it white, wash it, done.
That's how I'd start with it for sure. However, there are undercoats you can use. What's a good undercoat to use to get white? Yellow?
Either yellow or pink.
Pink.
Worked really well. Like a very bright, vibrant pink would be really good. But honestly, I think just a second go over of this and then a black wash is totally fine. And then just do some chipping into it and it'll look great. We actually have a super chat.
Ice Veins. Thank you, sir. Little something for the Lorebeards 40K lunch fund. Thank you.
Heck
hey.
Yeah.
Rock on, dude. We appreciate you.
Also, getting the pouches and everything painted up and weathered is really nice. This model just looks incredible.
It's very, very good. It's very, very good. The helmet is my major issue, but everything else looks amazing.
Wow. Bale Predator.
That is a sweet ass Bale Predator. Look at that thing.
This is done by Ashkal. That's how I'm pronouncing your name. If I misread your names, just yell at me.
Non-metallics.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, this is really good work. Also,
Okay.
somebody that actually put the smoke launchers on the right spot on the tank.
Okay, so we talked about the Crusader was win your local painting tournament. This is like win a Rogue Trader painting tournament. This is like this is a regional painting tournament you could win with this.
Yeah, no notes. You know what you're doing.
God damn, that's amazing.
I also love the power sword sticking out.
Well,
this
it's the guy
really good.
He's driving me closer. I want to hit them with my sword. There it is.
Look at that. Also, you got the Hunter Killer missile in the right spot too. I like that.
This is Games Day worthy. This is you could enter this in a Golden Demon. It probably won't win, but you will not be disappointed. Like you would look good in a Golden Demon tournament with this. Or competition.
I love all the vision slits and everything on here. The cupola looks really good. The Hunter Killer missile does look like it'll shoot into this, but it's a Hunter Killer, so it'll just go like this and fire out because they fire like javelin missiles, which is really cool. Yeah, no notes. This is absolutely incredible.
Brilliant. Yeah.
I want to bring attention to these front headlights. Like, look at that. That's the level of detail we're working with.
Sweet.
Like, he's got non-metallic metal here.
Okay,
so they do.
I see one thing I would improve.
I'm dying. Don't mind.
It's the one thing I would improve is you see how you've got Baal on the script on the front, but you have nothing on the script on there. That just some kind of word. I mean, it could just be blood, it could be Vitae, it could be Dante, whatever name you want to put on there, put something on there, and that will that'll help.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I would say to change.
And then this I really like. This is really cool. This is done by Albion. This is a kit-bashed Wild Rider Chieftain.
Same Han. You don't see them very often.
This is really cool.
Nice jet bike.
Yeah.
Very colorful.
I think Eldar should be colorful. That's like my whole thing. The name of that tank is a Ball Predator. Which unfortunately might get discontinued in next edition. Unless it has box art.
Is there, can you scroll down a little bit on that? I'd like to see the base.
Base.
Oh, okay. Cool. Thank you.
Basic basing, but it works for a jet bike. You don't really want too much on their base.
Can you zoom in on the bike?
Oh, look at that. That looks really
nice. Yeah, the feathers
nice
look
dry
great.
brushing. Yeah, I really like this.
I feel like the paint's a little thick on that front cowling.
It is a little bit. I like the detail that the decal they put on it. I think the yellow could be highlighted a bit better, but overall, I think it's pretty good.
No, I'm looking at this like I was judging a painting competition, and this may not be his intention. This looks amazing for a tabletop. This is amazing.
Yeah.
This is very worthy, very, very worthy. I like it.
Yeah. And then we get the view of the front. I think it just looks really good.
It does.
One thing that I would do is if you can get a water effect, one of these, the water and puddles, put this on your jewels and it'll make them shine. It pops them really well. Yeah, just 3 pictures of it. Looks really good.
Yeah, no, that's.
Then we got the Chthonian Berserks again.
Yeah.
I think this is the same exact squad. Yeah, it looks like the same squad. And we can get a better look at them now. Good use of skin tones and everything. Good use of hair colors.
Agreed.
No two look the same. This is what you want. Like, I tend to do my my Leagues of Votan as more Irish, Scottish, because that's the vibe I always got from them. So I always do most of them in red hair, but I always constantly add like tons of different varieties of skin, varieties of hair colors, and everything. Okay, so this is him with
wait, okay, this makes a huge difference, bro.
Yeah.
Huge difference. The lighting changes everything. I will take back what I said before. This looks fine. This looks absolutely fine.
Now you can see all the highlighting and everything.
Yeah.
And you actually did a very dark skin tone, which is very, very difficult to do well. I think you did it fantastic here.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, no notes. This looks really good. Also, count his skulls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think this is a skull. 6 skulls.
At
I'm
least
counting
5.
it as a skull.
Very well done.
And then we got the back. I always felt that the Commissar needed something on his back.
Yeah.
It has often bugged me a little bit that there's nothing there, and that's the official like look of it. Because I get it as just a coat, but it feels un-40K to not have like a backpack of some sort.
Whoa. Lord Solar
And then
Macarius.
Yep, we have Lord Solar Macarius.
Oh, no, no.
Real good.
Is that? Yeah. That's Lord Solar Macarius, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Nicely done.
I love this. This looks fantastic.
I
like
have
the giant shield on his side. I think it looks great.
That's a kit bash. He did not originally come with that.
No. This is from, I don't know what kit this is from. This feels like it's 2 pieces put together.
What's the creator of this one?
This is Nestor.
Nestor, your painting is excellent, and your kit bashing is excellent. This is just a great model.
It's a bit bulky.
The gold and purple, beautiful. Very, very regal for a Lord Solar.
I mean, he needs that. He's Lord Solar Macarius. This appears to be a kit bashed version of him, though.
Yeah, I mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah, because this is the arm off of is this a custodian? This is a custodian arm.
I don't think so.
Is that not the custodian sword?
I don't think so.
This is what's giving me custodian.
I don't think so. I'm not going to say I know what it's from, but I don't think it's custodian.
I'm really curious. I kind of want to ask them about the kit bashing here, but I really like it. That is the end of all of the models that we have today, and we've seen some really interesting conversions and some beautiful models. That ball predator, oh my gods, that's incredible.
Right, that was sweet as hell.
I think this one, like,
give that tank a name and paint it on that little banner on the front, and it is absolutely pinnacle, top tier.
Yeah. Yeah, see, Lord Vorn is on my side. I think that's the shield champion.
It's possible.
Or the sword champion.
I've been out of that side of things for a very long time, so it's quite possible.
Yeah.
So
or
if you
lieutenant. Oh man.
Possibly. I would say it's lieutenant's more likely, but that's just me. Anyway, we are in the last few minutes of our show today. So if you have questions for myself or Alexis, please go ahead and put them in the chat. It doesn't have to be related to Commissar Yarrick, but it would be cool if it was. We have a show coming out Wednesday where we're going to talk about the we're going to look at the announcements from Adepticon for Games Workshop.
Oh, I did get the actual, thanks to our lovely mods, I did get the time that's going to happen. And you could check it in the chat itself. I think both of us were pinned, or just me. I'm not sure. But it's happening at 1 a.m. my time. So I will stay up to watch it. I might not be as high energy, but I think we do a show before it as well. So we do a normal show, and then we open back up to do the reaction to the Adepticon.
Well, okay, so we might have a double show on Wednesday. Woo!
That is Alexis, if Ross wants to.
You know what? I like Alexis's ambition here. I think I'm gonna have to go for it. Let's do a show. Let's do a show at our normal time, and then we'll do a show 2 hours after.
Yep.
The end of that show will be the beginning of the Games Workshop presentation, and we will watch it and react to it live. Is that the plan?
Yes.
Okay, that's the plan. So we're going to watch it and react to it live, which is it's a 2-hour presentation from Games Workshop.
Yep, I'm going to be very exhausted, but I'm going to do it.
So join us for that, and we'll check it out. Oh, we have here a comment from Rush. Dust storm of Armageddon approaches. Engine roars. Music blares. No one will take my bike. Gonna hunt him to the ground. Out of the clouds comes Jagatai Khan.
That would be such a weird way.
What?
That would be so bizarre.
That would be intensely bizarre. I gotta agree. That'd be absolutely wild. First of all,
I'm not against it.
First of all, Games Workshop showing any love to the White Scars is like a what? Because they don't typically give love to the White Scars. Secondly, the return of the Khan on Armageddon. Yeah, wow, that's wild.
I don't know about that one.
It's wild. I mean,
again, I'm not against it. Because I can see that.
It would fit into your theory that bikes are going to be a big part of it.
Oh my God! It could be Wazdaka gun. Hear me out. It's
Wazdaka versus Jagatai Khan.
Jagatai Khan. Who else are famous bike characters? Doom Rider.
Doom Rider and the Master of the Raven Wing. Samael.
Samael. Yeah, those are all for. Oh, and throw in that other White Scar guy. The other guy. I can't remember his name. That's on a jet bike.
Corsaro Khan.
Yeah, him.
And then don't forget, of course, Wazdaka Gutsmack. So, wow, that would be okay. That would be the bike edition for sure, for definite. Okay, so if the Khan comes back, see, I saw Blood Angel symbols on the guy's jacket. I did not see a White Scar symbol. So
they're trying to throw us off.
They're trying to throw us off. If that's true, if Khan is the returning Primarch. I still think that it might be Layman Russ if it's going to be a Primarch. Maybe it's not going to be a Primarch. Maybe they're not going to do Primarch right now. That's fine if they do. I don't really care. So there's that. But hey, we have a whole episode if you want to see our predictions for what will be shown at Adepticon. Alexis and I went over it.
And I was immediately proven wrong that Armageddon Steel Legion is not getting a kill team, and I'm very sad.
Jake Wu says Jagatai Khan fighting orcs is pretty fun since he fights them often in the Great Crusade, if I remember correctly. Well, orcs were a very common enemy in the Great Crusade. They got fought by a lot of people.
It turns out when the Eldar's Guna got into existence and obliterate themselves, the orcs just kind of take over everything else.
Yeah, for real. Eleanor campaign, Chondax and all that, says Jake Wu. Yeah, those were all orc campaigns for sure. And again, they were a big threat back during the Great Crusade. Woo! Actually, we talk at some point. I'd love to tell you some of the information I know about orcs in the Great Crusade era because they are very different. They are far closer to Krorks. They were more on the beast side of things and less on the tech side of things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so. Yeah, they were big, bad, nasty things in the Great Crusade.
Who is a character that you think needs to come back then?
A single character that needs to come back.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be Imperial. It could be anybody. Who do you want to come back in the next edition of Warhammer?
Doom Rider, 150%.
Okay, all right. I fully agree with you, but I do want him as a larger model. I want him as a Demon Prince size, because he is the Demon Prince, on a giant motorcycle. Okay?
A Demon Prince on a motorcycle. Okay.
Because that's what he is.
I mean...
He is a Demon Prince.
I don't know about that.
He's a very small one, but he is a Demon Prince.
I don't know about that exactly.
And we do have rules for Demon Princes joining squads, because we have Celeste. Celeste is the guy and the girl that are on top of each other, that are on a smaller base. They're a Demon Prince and a Herald at the same time that can join a squad. So I can see him coming back and being in a squad of 3.
No, you're right.
3 to 6 bikes.
You're right. He's a Demon Prince. I'll be goddamned.
Yeah, I told you he was a Demon Prince.
I knew he was. I thought he was just like possessed, but no, he's an actual Demon Prince. I'll be damned.
Yeah, because it's him and his bike is the Demon Prince.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so then he definitely needs to come back. For sure.
Yeah, he needs to be bigger though.
Yeah.
And they do need to give something to the Emperor's Children, because holy shit, that army has nothing. Because I think what they need to do is give Emperor's Children like motorcycles, the Defiler. I think the Defiler is coming out for all 4 major factions. And then Doom Rider would be a great way to like round out the Emperor's Children, I believe.
Sardaukar says, I just got home and caught the very end. You always pronounce my name in a very funny way. Sardaukar? If it's not Sardaukar, what is it? Sardaukar?
Sartekar?
Sartekar? Yeah,
I have no idea.
Sartekar. Yeah, I don't know. You'll have to let us know. That's a good question. Sevatar. Oh, he's talking about Sevatar. Okay, that's
Sevatar coming back could be cool.
But Sevatar would be rad. Sevatar would be absolutely rad.
I think, and he was mentioned in recent lore, Kabanda.
Yeah, Devastation of Bale.
I think if they're gonna relaunch demons as a 40k demon faction, like GW has been planning to do for a very long time, a good 40k specific demon could be Kabanda, because they have the resin kit for Horus Heresy Kabanda.
True. I gotta say, this is the one I love though. Sevatar's return would be big, and that would be one I would be all about. And there's ways to do it, like because the Night Lords could have. So either it could be the actual Sevatar, which would be rad, but Sevatar could have become a title, kind of like James Bond, right? Like they're different people that are James Bond. There's different people that are now Sevatar. That could be a way to do it. Sevatar's return would be really neat, even if it's a lie. I'm down for any way you want to do that.
If you ever want to go down a weird rabbit hole, look up if James Bond is Icelandic.
That's a weird rabbit hole. Very specific.
Such a weird rabbit hole.
But that's all the time we got today for Lorebeards. Check us out on Wednesday. We're gonna have a cool double show.
Yes, I am gonna try to stay awake.
We're gonna have a show and then a break and then a second show.
Yes.
So what's the first show going to be about if it's not going to be about?
Well, luckily we have a few planned.
We have a few. That's true. We have something we can find. We'll get the ad up and let you guys know. But until next time, in the grim darkness of the far future,
there is only lore.
Cheers, everybody.
Take care. Okay, love you guys. Bye.